part.
Sure. Give a lot of cocoa say.
Maybe the Lord is hungry.
Sure.
Good morning. Really, that's the name of the show today.
Well, it's today, right? That's the theme, right? Give the Lord a cocoa. Give the Lord a cocoa.
It's episode 73. Let's keep it at that.
How are you doing?
Are we working our way towards the big 100?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. This Friday will be 75, and then we have just 5 more weeks, and then we are on the big 100 for GTV breakfast. To have you all around. You guys are excited because KKD and Oscar Provençal are coming here.
Yes.
Yes, to talk about the headlines.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. A lot of people say, bring back Inspector Bediako. You see, the thing about when you have a hit, then everybody thinks that you should just
You're the
there.
character.
Yeah, but he's called.
But there's more to Oscar. There's more to KKD than just their entertainment or broadcast personas.
Exactly so. Yeah, and so we will be seeing a bit of that side of them on the table, the cooler side of the room.
No, Valerie said that's the warmer side.
So this is the cooler side. They're here. They're going to be here with me for the headlines. What's in the news today? So another person goes to jail, this time for 60 days for stealing a judge's plant. What is all this business?
It's plantain season.
Yeah. So the question I'm asking is, what's your view on people being sent to jail for stealing food? You know, cassava, mankeni.
I think as a general, I would hope that if you're stealing it to eat, like for now, then I could understand you're hungry. But if you're stealing it continuously to sell and to make other profits, then it's not hunger, it's something else, and you need to create a job to get money, not to steal other people's stuff too, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
This guy is going in for...
If you steal my food and you eat it, I'm all right.
I mean, when we stole meat from the pot, and don't tell me you never did it. We all did it.
I plead the fifth.
It's part of growing up as a Ghanaian. Then you go to the kitchen, you smell something, then you look around,
and the
you open the pot, and then you take the stew, you take the meat.
The condensed milk.
What happened when they caught you? Because they must have caught you.
If I didn't spill everything, I'll probably get less slaps on the back.
Okay, but you were not caned for stealing food from them.
No.
Okay, yeah.
I was caned for other stuff.
Okay. We will not
Don't ask me.
So what's your thought on that? I just put a question out on Facebook. Lots of responses are coming out, but I also want the WhatsApp views as well. What's your view on people being sentenced to prison terms for stealing food? 055-556-1034. This is how you should eat this morning. Mental food. GTV breakfast. And we are proud to be associated with Awake Purified Mineral Water, Shield Acrylic Paint, and Adonko Next Level Energy Drink. Thanks to Lufat Anti-Malarial Medication, Suspension for Kids and Tablet for Adults, we'll be bringing you a rather insightful chat on alternatives to blood transfusion. Indeed. That's on our health check in a few minutes, about 20 or so minutes from now. And we'll also be looking into the legal regime in the mining sector. We'll also look at climate change. There's an ongoing summit in Glasgow, Scotland. I love Glasgow, beautiful city. So climate change activists, campaigners have all converged in that city, and they are asking for one thing. The world should do more to stop or reduce the effects of emissions, greenhouse gases, just so in future our children, our grandchildren will have a fighting chance to stay in a habitable earth. I was reading a bit yesterday. Yes, you did your research.
That the earth may become inhabitable by the year 2050.
Okay.
That might seem like a long way away, but if your child, my child, your grandchild, his niece and nephew are around at that time, it will not be a pleasant situation. Okay. 60 degrees Celsius.
Who did the calculations?
There's a body that does that.
Okay.
So the environmentalists, they've made projections and predictions, and that's what they're saying. That at the rate we are going, if we don't take care, the average temperature in Middle East and North Africa, the MENA region, will be 60 degrees Celsius every day.
Which means I'll have to take off this jacket.
Probably go naked.
Go naked. Thank you for the word. So Achari Kwame is on the show from Glasgow. Watch out for that in the next hour. We've got a lot for you. We'll keep what's in the your well segment under wraps for now. Valerie will reveal it with her own lips.
Unveiling.
Okay? Indeed. So, hey, it's a big show. Look forward to having your comments on WhatsApp 05555 Show brought to you by Adonko Next Level Energy Drink, Awake Purified Drinking Water, Shield Acrylic Paint. Lufat brings us the blood management conversation in 18 minutes, and Airtel Tigo is proud to bring you Your World with Valerie. Good morning.
Next is our wisdom nugget from Dr. Kofi Osei Kusi. He says, character and integrity are key. Let's listen.
All right. Welcome. Good morning.
It's a good morning to you. It's an exciting morning to see you again on the Breakfast Show. Such an inspiring morning show across the world. Anywhere you are in the world, you can join the Breakfast Show and inspire yourself and update yourself with what's happening here in Ghana and around the world. And here on the Breakfast Show, we get to listen to the wisdom nugget for the day. And I'm very humbled, as always, to serve you the nugget for the day. And our nugget for today is character and integrity. I don't know what you remember from your former school, but I got to attend 2 secondary schools. In our time, it was the O-level and the A-level. And I got to go to one secondary school for O-level, another one for A-level. And one of the schools I attended, that was the theme. It's many years ago since I completed, but I have never forgotten the theme of that school. It stuck with me. Character and integrity is the motto for Prempeh College. And you know what? Those are two incredibly powerful words. I like what it says in the national anthem of Ghana, that what we need as a nation is character and integrity. And if we can hold on to character and integrity, Ghana will continue to be a better place. That is what our national anthem tells us and reminds us. And today, I just want to call us and challenge us on this wisdom nugget for the day, that we all need to continue to strive to be people of character and to be people of integrity. There are a lot of temptations and there are a lot of things that push us out of the path of character and that push us out of the path of integrity. When we find ourselves in different positions and under different circumstances, and the pressure and the stresses of life compel many of us to take all kinds of decisions. But I'm just here to remind us today that we will do ourselves a lot of good, and we will do future generations a lot of good if we can take and hold on to character and integrity. It is better to be people of character, and it is better to be people of integrity, because a good name is definitely better than riches. When you have to make decisions and there are issues of character and integrity intertwined with it, please, let's prioritize character and let's prioritize integrity. What I would like to add is that integrity is like salt, and it's a tremendous preservative. We are people of integrity. Many years to come, people will still remember us and speak good about us. As you go through the day, I want people to remember you long after you are dead and gone. I want people to remember you long after you leave that particular workplace. And they are going to remember you positively if you chose to be a person of character and a person of integrity. I will see you again on the Wisdom Nugget for your day as you think about character and integrity. Have a pleasant day. I'll see you again soon.
Thanks for staying with us. The Breakfast Show is live from Ghana Broadcasting Corporation in Accra. We are proud to be associated with Adonko Next Level Energy Drink, Shield Acrylic Paint, and Awake Mineral Water. We are happy also to be associated with KTO Eleganza, located at Usu. They are responsible for my lovely outfit this morning. So they are on Instagram, KTO, K-A-T-I-E-O Eleganza. So KTO Eleganza, thank you for my lovely dress this morning. Kaf, you are on and on and on about this blood conversation. We are doing, remember, that's why we're wearing poppies.
Yes, so. Indeed, and the poppy stands for the blood that was shed by people who went to war, you know, in the last century. But we're also talking about blood in the health segment today, because did you know that there are alternatives to blood transfusion? And you're thinking, huh? What's that? Well, the how will be, we'll have an answer at 6:30. So 13 minutes, and then there's a conversation with KKD and Oscar Provençal from in the next hour on their headlines. You can't not afford to miss that.
Kaf is excited. Right? What should we expect from your side?
From my side, I spoke with...
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That's a good one. Today we are somewhere in Jamestown. I'm excited.
Okay.
Yes, I am too. We are going to Jamestown for Keeper. We're looking at a school that's
Accra Simpy School.
Accra Simpy School.
If you don't bring back Kinky,
I'll tell Alan. I'll tell Alan. But then another conversation to look forward to later on is a gentleman. He's called the African Prince. Now,
African Prince?
Yes. Hermann.
From which country?
Look, we'll find out when we talk to them. But I spoke to him when he was like 16 years old, when his first debut.
Okay.
And so I'm looking forward to seeing him 2 years after that. He's 18.
So you're happy?
So now his lyrics, I want to see what his content and stuff, you know, how like...
Next time come early so that I come and talk about it. This Royal Family Matter that... what? Yeah?
No, talking about Prince and kingship and self-acclaimed dancehall kings. The police has ordered, the court has ordered Shatta Wale and his accomplices, their mobile phones, to be released back to them.
So they were keeping the phones all this while. So at our top trend this morning is a court ordering the release of Shatta. So where were the phones all along?
It was in police possession.
For... what were they using them for? Why were they keeping?
So the lawyer argued in court that he argued that his clients are lifestyle and entertainment personalities who largely depend on their mobile phones. So the police's continuous withholding of the same hinders their survival. And so according to Jerry Avenogbo, who is their lawyer, he says all pieces of information the police would need for their investigation are already on social media. As such, going into their clients' phones would only serve to breach their privacy. And
because I'm sure there are other stuff on that they do not want.
Yes.
Everyone has a right to privacy. That has nothing to do with the case.
Yes.
So the court has ordered that the phone be returned to Shatta.
Release it immediately.
Okay.
And
is that the one he's holding?
Maybe another one. I don't know what type of phone this is. Maybe the iPhone people can help us. Wow. What type of phone?
Yeah, that's an iPhone.
Hey,
how can you tell?
Oh no, you can just tell from the aesthetics. But he's a brand ambassador for
a lot of phones. Infinix and then the rest.
Is it an iPhone?
It's a Samsung.
It's a Samsung. How do you know?
Phone experts. Okay, so Shatta Wale's phone, his accomplices' phones, they are all supposed to be released back to them on court order. So the royalty is trending this morning. I'm excited when I saw Queen Elizabeth trending. My heart skipped a bit for a minute, and then I went into the trends. I'm looking at it. I think these scammers, They have no chill whatsoever. So someone, one of the scammers, goes to send someone a message that, maybe I'll read the message to you. Say, hi dear, my name is Queen Elizabeth. I want to give you free scholarship to Oxford University because of your intelligence. All you have to do is send me 5,000 Ghana cedis so I can give it to the headmaster. This is the Momo number. There's a number there. The name is Atakra Bismarck. That's my son in Ghana name.
Oh, the number, I want to see the number again.
Atakra Bismarck is the Queen's is the Queen's son. Queen Elizabeth has a son in Ghana called Atakra Bismarck.
Can we go back to the original message? Because the number alone should give you a clue that something is wrong.
It's a 055.
There's a 419 in it. 055
yes.
419.
And that's exactly the point someone made on Twitter. That even the number self has 419. You should know that this is not going.
I can confidently say that this scammer in particular is pretty new to the game.
Really?
I just called Atakra Bismarck.
The number is not correct. Maybe you dialed the wrong number.
No, I just dialed 055-419-1461.
The person probably turned it off after
it broke.
This scammer is a new scammer.
Okay,
he's pretty new.
But
He doesn't know
scams,
the
it brings
ropes.
scamming into sharp focus, doesn't it? That people are still trying whatever means to get people to part with their money. And if you lose guard, as somebody will say from Jamestown, call lose guard, phew, then they'll take you to the cleaners.
The people who study this stuff say, listen, look at the grammatical constructions, and you can see that it's a scam. Hi dear, my name is Queen Elizabeth. First of all, that's not how she addresses herself.
But why would Queen Elizabeth send
I want
you
to give you free scholarship to Oxford University because of your intelligence. All you have to do is send me 5,000 GA so I can...
Oxford does not have a headmaster.
This is the Momo number. The number is autocorrect. It's that's my son in Ghana name. That's my son in Ghana. It's Brofo Bonnie to the nonsense degree. And if you were, well...
So don't fall for
because the number is not even going through.
Yeah.
Don't fall for this. Meanwhile, Her Royal Highness, the real Queen Elizabeth, is taking a short break from official royal duties as she, on doctor's advice, as she recovers from a short illness. So she's not doing any official visit. So I don't see how maybe as she's convalescing at home, she's, you know,
look, there's a funny tweet that,
dear Queen Elizabeth, can you please send some people to Ghana and colonize them again? Things are getting out of hand. No, we don't want colonizing.
Exactly.
Please.
It's not funny.
Queen Elizabeth needs urgent 5,000 to sort out the headmaster of Oxford University for free scholarship to Elakian. Hey, some of these scammers won't make it to heaven, even if they repent. But that's the joy of social media, the dangers of social media, and sharp focus for us today. Don't fall for the activities of scammers. We've had our tech expert who was coming over on Fridays, I think consistently for about a month or 6 weeks. He told all of us how we can keep our cyberspace safe and how we can not fall prey to some of these scams. It might seem funny to you, but for all you know, an unassuming person may have fallen victim to the scam.
See,
so
it's not
we don't
even
want
a
that.
scam, sir, because the number that they go through. Somebody
But
just wants some traction. Somebody wants some
maybe
traction on their
But the thing is, if a number doesn't go through, doesn't mean if you send Momo to it, it will not also go through. So
I'll test the 10 CD and see what I do.
Please send it, split 5.
While I text.
Send 1 CD. Let's see if it goes. 10 is too much. Okay, so those are also trending because my power went off. I don't know if yours did. My power went off the night before. So today is Wednesday. So Tuesday evening at about 11 p.m. my power went off, and it came back yesterday evening after 8 p.m.
Today is Wednesday, so Monday.
So Monday, yes. So it came back yesterday, Tuesday evening after 8 p.m. We've had the opportunity to hear. Did anyone see the statement from Gridco explaining what the situation was? A press statement. It said Tuesday, November 9, 2021. There was the power system experienced a significant disturbance. All generating units at Aboise Enclave and Bui tripped, resulting in a power outage in sections of Accra, the western, middle, and northern parts of the country. At 04:38 GMT on Tuesday, November 9, generating units at Aboise and Bui were restored, supplying electricity to all major bulk supply points, BSPs. At 04:50 GMT on Tuesday, November 9, 2021, in the process of restoring the remaining DPSs, a second disturbance occurred, resulting in the loss of generating units at Aboise, Enclave, and Bui. This led to another interruption of electricity supply to several areas of Accra, the western, middle, and northern parts of the country. Gridco, in collaboration with its key stakeholders in the power supply chain, has restored power to all BPSs, and Gridco assures its value stakeholders that it will continue to provide a stable power system for dependable and efficient power supply for national and economic growth. We apologize for any inconvenience caused. And so that was a statement from Gridco. The tagline is the backbone to power delivery. So that's what Gridco is saying. They have apologized. They say, sorry, the system tripped. So the stuff went off. Now it's back. I lost power. I lost my phone battery died yesterday, and I had to go and sit in some funny place to charge just so I can read.
How funny was the place?
Because it was a cold store, and they have a
plant. You went to a cold store to charge the phone?
Yes. They have a plant.
First in history.
Because they need to keep their staff safe. So anytime power goes off, I just go in.
Did you buy some meat?
No, nothing.
The
man, Mr. Camila is what I call him. Thank you so much for helping me charge my phone yesterday so I can chat with these lots.
Did you go with a jacket?
No, I just sat there.
In the cold store?
Without my wig. But I sat outside. I wasn't in the cold car. I was in the freezing room.
But you have to protect your phone.
So it's not doom. So Kiko says the power went off. So all of you who are on Twitter and saying doom, the power tripped.
Well, Tema did not experience any of those.
Yeah.
Well planned.
No.
Okay.
No doom.
Some parts of Accra.
Okay.
Some parts of Accra. Yeah.
We'll be going to our cheesy question very soon, but Famwene is making an appeal to government to investigate the $200 million pro LGBTQI cash. We could have gone into that, but I think we're running out of time. Let's do a cheesy quiz for this morning. Kaf wanted to have a bite on that. A quick one then.
Yes. No, I tried to transfer money to that number, and the message I got was, you try to transfer money to a non-mobile money subscriber. Type 1 to continue and generate a token voucher code.
Okay.
1 to confirm. So you continue. I'll
okay. So then we will shelve the Famwene trend for another day. Today we are going into our cheesy quiz for the day. Remember, this show is also brought to you in partnership with Cheesy Pizza, and they sponsor this segment. Today's question is, what is the origin of Hogbechocho? Hogbechocho. What is the origin? You see now, you say a girl. Now I'm coming to say, what is the origin of Hogbechocho? Because I just said Hogbechocho. Please, let me speak English.
Let me say it.
Go on.
Mabade.
This one you are giving the others an unfair advantage.
Mebede is Nke, Mebede. I say, what is the origin of Hogbechocho? Hogbechocho. You must always add a Hogbechocho. You must add a za.
Hogbechocho. No, that's not it. Hogbechocho. So that's our cheesy quiz for today. That's our cheesy quiz for today. You get this right, and you stand a chance of winning a voucher, and you can grab a pizza from any cheesy pizza joint in the capital, and you can enjoy it to the max. Okay, so that's our cheesy pizza quiz of the day. Very soon we'll be going into that conversation on alternatives to blood transfusion. I personally heard the Jehovah's Witnesses making this claim that they will not accept transfusions, but what alternatives are there, and are they safe enough to explore? Are they even being practiced? All those will be answered on the health check segment of the show, brought to you in partnership with Lufat Antimalarial Medicine, suspension for kids and tablets for adults. You don't want to miss it. Thanks to our sponsors, Adonko Next Level Energy Drink, Shoulder Acrylic Paint, and Awake Purified Mineral Water. KTO Eleganza for my lovely outfit. Thank you, KT and the team located at Usu. Follow them on Instagram, and we'll be right back to continue these interesting conversations. Stay with us.
Stick and stay.
Stick and stay.
What is the origin? The question is wrong. The question is wrong.
Welcome to Malaria 360. COVID-19 seems to be getting all the attention lately. But right here, our focus is on everything malaria. I know we've all become a little paranoid lately. At the onset of the slightest fever, we begin to imagine things and start popping pills. But this is wrong. A simple test at a health facility is all you need to confirm whether or not you have malaria. This is why we say test and treat only when malaria is confirmed. In Ghana, when malaria parasites are found in your blood, you'll be given the appropriate anti-malaria medicines to treat malaria. Do not self-medicate. Adhere to all the COVID-19 safety protocols in place. Zero malaria starts with me and you.
I am 7 years old. Beep, beep, beep.
I am 4 years old.
We are 12 years old.
It's been 1 year since I started my antiretroviral treatment.
You can live a long, productive life with antiretroviral treatment. With antiretroviral treatment, HIV-positive expectant mothers can have healthy HIV-negative babies. Go to the nearest health center, test and know your HIV status. If you are positive, ask about antiretroviral treatment and you will receive help. Antiretroviral treatment is the only option for a long and fulfilling life.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission and Ghana Health Service.
Looking to pamper yourself and family these coming holidays with leisure trip to Dubai? Well, Advocacy Travels, your leading travel agency in Ghana, got you covered with their mouth-watering offers to Dubai this festive period. Join Advocacy to Dubai on either 21st to 28th December or 27th December to 3rd January for an unforgettable lifetime experience. Get the chance to experience the amazing city of Dubai skyline, the dune bashing at the desert safari, the private cruise at Dubai Marina, or discover the child in you at Laguna Water Park. This package with a starting price of 9,500 Ghana cedis covers your flight, hotel, visa, tours, travel insurance, COVID test, and a day trip to Dubai Expo to celebrate with millions of people from over 190 countries. Call us on 0556 310 404 or 0595 500 817 or visit www.adancytravels.com to book your package. Advocacy Travels, fuel life's beauty.
I swore an oath on 7th January to be faithful and true to the Republic of Ghana. And that is exactly what I'm doing in the fight against Galamsey.
Yenja, yenja, Galamsey. Yenja, yenja, Galamsey. Yenja, 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 Galamsey, este Ghana. Ghana mine, Emrena so, Galamsey, SSA Jayo, my kabum, na ye mine say and say I be. Yenja, yenja, Galamsey. Yenja, yenja, Galamsey. Yenja, 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 Galamsey, este Ghana. Galam Sinti, yes yo I say oh. Galam Sinti and forest I say oh. Galam Sinti in Kofo Ewu say a bunch of wow bedem. Yenja yenja Galam say. Yenja yenja Galam say. Yenja 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 yenja. Yenja, yenja, Galamsey, este Ghana. Ye mine Ghana, ye shaman in seo. Ye mine Ghana, ye shaman in seo. Ye mine Ghana, ye shaman in seo. Galamsey, master. Galamsey, master. Galamsey, master. Galamsey, master. Galamsey, master. And they call me UJ. When you need a shoulder to cry, run on my pamper, so we try to suicide. Yeah, let bygone be bygone. I didn't see what the button go do, we go straight to stardom. And I'm gonna take you to next level. Baby, oh yeah, yeah. Energy next level. But baby, oh yeah, yeah. I'll take you to next level. Baby, oh yeah, yeah.
I don't code next level. Excessive feeding can be detrimental to health. Not recommended for persons under 18 years, lactating mothers, pregnant women, and people sensitive to feeding. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
The show was a jar of bar and
The groom is sick.
What?
Malaria.
Malaria. Lufat.
Injija wohoma malaria enka won to them. Lufat eye malaria to prekope.
And now you may kiss the bride.
Enters Pharmaceuticals and Research Center. And I Lufat. Lufat. It to malaria in 10 FDA.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to the show. Hashtag GTV Breakfast. Still to come, conversations on mining, climate change, and music, all on this show. The WhatsApp number is 055-556-1034. I asked a question after I heard that another person had been taken to jail for 60 days for stealing a judge's plantains. And I'm asking, what are the alternatives? What's your view on people being sent to jail for stealing food? And Soraya says, we live in a country where there is a need for a lot of public service. Crimes of a certain level, like low financial and non-bodily injury crimes, could have all these people perform public services for free. Street cleanup, waste disposal, street painting, et al. Meanwhile, we put them in jail. This guy is cooling off 60 days for stealing the judge's body. What do you think about that? 055-556-1034. Your views are welcome. This health segment is brought to you by Lufat Tablets and Suspension. Product of the Year at the Ghana Farmer Awards 2021. And you take it after fighting for 3 days for effective results. What are we talking about when I come back? Alternatives to blood transfusion. Huh? Really? The questions will be answered right after this.
The show was a jar of bar and concrete dim.
The groom is sick.
What?
Malaria.
Malaria. Lufat. Lufat.
Woman malaria and kawan to them. Lufat, I am malaria drop a compare.
And now you may kiss the bride.
Entrance Pharmaceuticals and Research Center. And I am Lufat. Lufat, it's malaria sententem. FDA, I should say a JD in crack.
All right, okay, we'll talk about this. Yeah, we're talking blood transfusion and alternatives to that. So last week we had a conversation on the Patient's Charter and the rights of patients. So we talked about the right to information on your condition, right to alternative treatments, right to informed choices, and then your entitlement to second opinions on an alternative physician. Today we're looking at a very interesting topic, and it has to do around blood, issues of blood. Are there any alternatives if, for example, you are a practitioner of the Jehovah's Witness faith and you do not take blood into somebody else's blood into your body? What are the alternatives if you do need blood in the system? My guests are a consultant anesthetist and head of the department, University of Ghana Medical Center, Dr. Ernest Ofosu-Appiah. He has rich experience in the use of blood conservation strategies, and he has been involved in the training of doctors at the undergraduate and postgraduate levels, has performed numerous surgical procedures without allogenic blood transfusion. We'll get to that in a short while. Dr. Ofosu-Appiah, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And on Zoom, we have Samson Kweku. He is with the Hospital Information Services Ghana, has extensive experience with clinical case management relating to bloodless treatment strategies. Good morning, Samson. Good to have you on the show as well.
Good morning, Kafi, and good morning to your listeners as well.
Excellent. I'll come to you shortly, but let me start with Dr. Ofosu-Appiah. What would make somebody consider an alternative to blood transfusions apart from religious reasons?
Okay, so blood transfusions has its problems. Anybody who has gone to donate blood before knows the stringent procedure that the person has to go through, because it can give the patient infections, it can give the patient reaction to the blood itself, and then also other complications that the patient who is receiving the blood could have. And for that reason, we only want to give blood as a last resort when there's no other alternative.
Isn't the screening supposed to reduce all the things that could cause us harm? You know, before you give blood,
Exactly
you go
so.
and do all this, all that stuff. It's supposed to take away the risk.
Exactly so. The screening takes a big percentage of the risk, but it's still not risk-free.
Okay, I'll be coming to you shortly, Samson. So, what are the ranges as far as alternatives are concerned? You don't want to do a blood transfusion, or you can't do it. What are the options you have?
Yeah, before I go to the options, my boss has started off on this question, but I want to just add a few reasons why people will want to choose alternatives. And I want to just go directly from the Royal College of Surgeons, one of their publications that they put out in 2018. And reading from that publication, it says that further to Jehovah's Witnesses, a growing number of patients are choosing to decline blood transfusion, many of which do so on reasons other than religious faith, fears about the safety of blood transfusion, as well as the scarcity of donor and changing patient experiences are leading some patients to withhold consent for blood transfusion when requesting surgery. And, you know, Ghana, a lot of work is being done, and our own National Blood Service also in one of their publications entitled National Guidelines for the Clinical Use of Blood. If you look at the page 22 of this document, it highlights it very beautifully. And just quoting from the document, it says that where possible and practicable, alternatives to blood transfusion, for example, the use of erythropoietin, should be considered. And they are giving us the reason why the alternative should be considered. They continued, this may help to reduce the amount of blood required and also reduce the adverse effects of blood transfusion.
Okay.
WHO also has said a lot of things about the reasons why people take blood. Now I'm back to the alternatives that are available. The alternatives can be put in different categories. We can talk about the use of pharmaceuticals. When I say the use of pharmaceuticals, drugs that are used in this setting. We have the use of devices and equipment. For example, the use of cell salvage devices. Then we have the use of techniques. The use of techniques which Dr. Fusapia has perfected very well. One of them is the use of acute pneumovolumic hemodilution. These are some of the alternatives that are available. But the alternatives can also be put into what the team does pre-operatively, especially the person who goes to surgery, intraoperatively, and then post-operatively. The WHO has put this into what is called pillars, 3 pillars. The first pillar talks about the need for us to augment the person's own blood. The second pillar talks about the need for us to reduce blood loss as much as possible.
Right.
And then the third pillar is to tolerate anemia. These are some of the strategies that are available to handle some of these procedures.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks. I'll come to you shortly, but let me come back to Dr. Ofosu-Appiah. For how long have you been working on these techniques which don't require blood transfusion?
Okay, for about 20 years now, we've been doing this technique, and it's not only limited to me, or it's a method that is employed in most hospitals in Ghana as we speak. As Kweku mentioned, there's something called acute hemodilution, and it simply means you give the patient before surgery a lot of fluids, that's drip, that is put on the patient. So what they do, the patient blood. So the amount of blood during the course of the surgery does not contain too much of the red cells. So the patient does, even though the patient is losing volume, they are not losing red cells. Conserve the patient's red cells. It's teamwork. It's not only the anesthetist, it also involves the surgeon, it also involves the theater nurse. So what we do is that whilst the anesthetist dilutes the blood, and then also reduce the patient's blood pressure. Because when the patient's blood pressure goes low, they tend to lose less blood.
Ah.
Yes, so you lose less blood when because the tissues are not getting enough blood to flow through, but then the very vital organs like the heart and the brain is getting adequate blood to flow through, and that reduces the amount of blood the patient will lose on the table. The surgeon also uses what we call diatomy to do the cutting, so that as he's cutting, it coagulates the tissues, so they don't lose a lot of blood.
So the tissues thicken?
Yes, so the tissues are thicken, so they don't lose a lot of blood.
Okay.
They also have other things like hemostatic felts, and then even surgical glues that they can apply to places where the blood is oozing a lot to reduce this blood, to reduce the blood loss.
In your experience, the alternatives to blood transfusion, how do they impact surgery? Does the surgery last longer because you're using these options apart from just a straight blood transfusion?
Not at all. Actually, one of the techniques on the side of the surgeon is to reduce the time spent on the table. So they do, because the longer they stay, of course, the more blood one will lose. So one of the strategies is to shorten the surgery time. So it's actually faster surgeries is a benefit. Okay. Yeah. But the other thing too is that most of these, that is where also the theater nurse comes in. So you need a theater nurse who is competent, knows what the surgeon is doing. So they also hasten the time for the procedure. But as Kweku said, one other thing is the preparation before the surgery itself. That is the key aspect of it. And we need to prepare the patients well so that they build up enough hemoglobin concentration before the surgery itself is
How do you
done.
prepare them? Do they eat more palm oil or what?
That's very good, careful. It's to do with medication, and it's also to do with diet. And one of the things we recommend patients who are preparing for surgery to take is that's green berries.
Oh, really?
Yes, because green berries contain a lot of iron and folic acid.
Okay.
And that is what the body uses to build blood.
Okay.
Yes, so when they take those, they get a lot of blood in them. And then also the timing of the surgery. For example, if you have a patient who is going for a myomectomy because he's having a lot of heavy bleeds during menses, we time the surgery such that we'll do the surgery just before the next menses, within which time we would have built up a lot of blood. Okay, so they don't lose it during the menses, but rather do the operation. So the blood loss during menses is markedly reduced.
Okay, so there's a lot of information you have to get from the patient before you go into a procedure like this.
Yes, we do.
Let me jump back to Mr. Kweku. So what is the level of awareness of patients about alternatives to blood transfusion?
Talking about the awareness, I think the healthcare professionals are doing what they can at the moment, trying to, because I don't think that healthcare professionals, surgeons, anesthetists, and general doctors are happy giving transfusion to people. No, that is not their goal. Their objective is to get better patient outcome. However, these alternatives sometimes come from, this request sometimes come from patients. And it's part of the things that healthcare professionals should make available to patients who seek help from them, that in addition to this, these options are there. And last week, as it was presented on the program, these alternatives and options are given to them, and the patient will sit down and think through and then choose what he or she wants.
Okay.
So talking about this, I think that it is coming. It is coming.
All right. Dr. Ofosu Appiah, in terms of percentages, how common is the use of alternatives to blood transfusion? Say you do 100 surgeries, how many would have taken that option or would have used that option?
Most of the patients that we speak to will always go for the alternative because they know, and we do tell them that, you know, giving you blood can give you problems. We only will give you blood if we have no opportunity at all. So a lot of patients do go for it. There's also one method we do, that sometimes we can build up the patient's hemoglobin up to a very high level. And then during the course of the operation, we take some of the patient's blood out, keep it with the patient, and then after the surgery, it's given back to
the blood where?
With the patient. Okay. So it's connected to the patient, and then it's kept in the theater with the patient. And then immediately after, it is given back to the patient. Another option is to take blood, keep it in the blood bank for that patient, and then during the day of the surgery, it's given back to us from the blood bank, and then it is also given to them. So these are two other alternatives that we use a lot.
I'm just curious, so around the table, when somebody is on the table, how many people are working on that person if you are doing an alternative to blood transfusion?
On the average, we have about 6 to 8 people working around the patient. Wow. Apart from, you have the anesthetist. The anesthetist will have an assistant.
Okay, that's you, putting the person to sleep.
Putting the person to sleep, yes. Right. Then you have a surgeon and a surgeon's assistant, a scrub nurse and an assistant. And then we also have the operating department technician who sometimes help us operate the equipment and all that.
It sounds very busy, focused work. Mr. Kweku, just before I let you go, do you foresee a day when we would not need blood banks because of these techniques?
On that question, I think we will continue to need transfusion medicine because, with the advancement in medical science, these 4 primary components are also fractionated to obtain the minor fractions that are used. Even now, some of them are being produced genetically engineered. And we have some that are also recombinant, produced by the pharmaceutical companies. So for example, if plasma is going to be fractionated to obtain probably cryoprecipitate, or is going to be fractionated to obtain probably albumin, or going to get the other clotting factors, immunoglobulin, it also comes from transfusion science. So with the advancement in transfusion medicine, with advancement in pharmaceutical science, in the involvement of medical practice, it is going to get to a point where these minor fractions that are devoid of some of these risks are going to be made available more to the patient, so that the patient can get the care they want. They can get quality care at reasonable cost also to the patient.
Okay.
And this will also help us to practice what is called evidence-based medicine. It's not only the technique or the skill of the practitioner, it's not only established protocols, but also the values and the preferences of the patient as well.
All right, a couple of rapid fire questions before we go, and if you can take them. Are these services readily available in our health centers, Mr. Kweku? Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
They are readily available.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, I think in Ghana, across the world, yes. In West Africa, yes. Okay. In Ghana, some facilities offer these services. There are a lot of facilities that are also coming up to speed in offering these services to the patient.
How about the public hospitals, the Kolibus, the Konfanoches, Sugakope, all those public hospitals? Can they give you alternatives to blood transfusion?
Yes.
I'll say so.
They can?
Yes.
Okay, good.
But the patient has to ask for them.
Okay, ask and you shall receive. In terms of cost, cheaper or more expensive than blood transfusion?
I think research has shown that the use of transfusion alternative strategies or the patient blood management pillars is actually cost effective. Okay. If you look at one of the slides that was shown on your screen, it helps us to see that in one of the researches that was done by Western Australia, it helps us to see that it is cost effective. It reduces rate of infection, it reduces length of stay at the hospital, it also reduces the overall cost of the patient. So, sometimes we might want to equate cost with price. So cost and price are not the same.
Okay.
If it is about cost, that takes into consideration the whole care of the patient, including length of hospital stay, including infections and their management, including management of adverse reaction. then transfusion alternatives or the use of patient blood management pillars are cost effective.
Okay. Dr. Ofosu-Appiah, somebody is asking about the level of knowledge of the doctors and the medical personnel with respect to this. How many people do we have that are trained that can do this?
Oh, most doctors know about it because they are taught in their medical schools, and they practice them every day. The only difference is that we haven't made a lot of education and noise about this alternatives over the years. That is why people, who seek services are not aware of it. But then the medical personnel know about it.
Now, somebody is very curious. He says, the doctor you are speaking to, Kafui, is he a Jehovah's Witness?
No, please.
Yeah, he's not. He said respectively, no, please. Okay, all right. And finally, I want to ask Mr. Samson Kweku, where can people find information about these alternatives to blood transfusion? Doctors, patients, caregivers, where can they get this information?
I think Dr. Ofosu-Appiah has started talking about the availability where healthcare professionals can get information. There are seminars, there are conferences. Just last week, there was a conference on bloodless medicine and surgery that brought from across the world experts on this field and experiences that were shared. So these conferences and seminars are there. Gradually, some of the medical schools are also bringing on board where graduating students are also giving this information about the availability of alternatives.
How about patients?
However,
how about patients?
There's also
patients. How do patients get information? Where can they look? Website, telephone number?
Yes, and patient can ask their healthcare professionals about these alternatives.
Okay.
However, to complement the effort of the training institutions and what the physicians are already doing, we have the hospital liaison committee network, which is available to share information at the request of patients and also at the request of physicians. And I'm sure Dr. Ofosu-Appiah works with these committees, and they offer these services at no cost to the institution, to the patient, nor to the health professional.
If your doctor insists on a blood transfusion, Dr. Ofosu-Appiah, as the first option and maybe the only one, what should be the response of the patient?
Okay. The first thing is that before the doctor will tell you that you need blood transfusion, that doctor might have looked at all the alternatives and decided that this situation, the only remedy will be blood. Because if a person has a road traffic accident and is bleeding to death, there's no time to look at the alternatives. So we have to give the person blood. Or a pregnant woman who has gone to deliver and is losing a lot of blood after delivery, the only treatment will be to give blood. And there are other situations like that. For example, cancers and all those.
Okay, so this depends on the circumstances.
So it depends on the circumstances.
Okay. Now somebody wants some free consultation from you. I don't know whether this question can be answered. Please ask the anesthetist, what if the patient's hemoglobin level is already low at 5.2 or 4.5?
Oh, okay. Once again, it depends. Experience has shown us that we can do surgeries with patients whose hemoglobin is about 5 and still get away with it. For example, patients who have had ectopic pregnancy and have a lot of blood in their belly, they come in with 4 and 5. We go to theater. But what we do then is that we salvage the blood that is in the belly and they give it back to that patient.
Okay, your own blood.
Your own blood.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. So you're transfusing to yourself.
Yes.
Okay. Samson Kweku of the Hospital Information Services, what are your parting words for anybody watching this conversation, especially for patients, with respect to alternatives to blood transfusion?
Yeah, before I come to that, probably I want to add to what my boss just said. Research has shown that the use of the patient blood management protocols, in fact, applies to almost all the protocols, all the strategies. In the emergency, yes, as Dr. Ofosu-Appiah rightly mentioned, sometimes it's a situation where everybody is hot. But there are other strategies like damage control strategies where things are staged. Sometimes the anesthetist, Dr. Ofosu-Appiah and his team are able to induce medical coma so that the requirement for oxygen is reduced and the utilization of oxygen is reduced. And these are done so that the need to use allogenic blood is reduced to the barest minimum. Okay. Even in emergency situations, the use of the cell salvage systems also goes a long way so that the patient's own blood is salvaged and given back into the individual. Okay. Research has shown that the use of in cancers, for example, we have medications like erythropoietin that augment the RBC mass, and they've been used across the world with wonderful results. Okay. Also, in those with liver cancers going through surgeries and the liver resections, they have gone through using some of these strategies. Right. So I'm sure the more knowledge and skill becomes available, some of these things become easier for our practitioners to practice.
Okay, thank
you. Or word to our listeners.
Yes, briefly.
We have to say a bigger echo to the healthcare professionals who are standing the front during this time and doing all that they can to give the best of care to their patient. However, we want to also mention that doctors value patients who come in well prepared and ask patient questions and ask the doctors questions. Okay. They value it so much. They appreciate it. Even though it might seem that the doctor does not have time, if the patient is prepared and come to Dr. Fosapia and talks to him and ask him questions, he loves it. And so we want to encourage everybody that before you go and see your clinician, please make sure you go with questions prepared and ask questions so that your clinician will explain your condition, explain the options available, and with the information, be able to make informed choice.
Thank you very much. The one who asks the questions is the one who has the power. That's Samson Kweku of the Hospital Information Services. And I'll leave you the last word, Dr. Ofosu, up here. What would you want to leave patients with this morning with respect to what we've been talking about, alternatives to blood transfusion?
Well, what I want to say is that, as Mr. Kweku said, patients are encouraged to ask questions when they come to the hospital. The other thing is, when you are given the alternatives, don't take it as the only option. You can always seek second opinion if there's time. And then also, as he said, read about the conditions that you have and then acquire knowledge wherever you get it. And then when you go, you can discuss that with your healthcare provider to get the best care out of whatever situation that you find yourself in.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ernest Ofosu Appiah. When I return and my kids ask me, who did you speak to? I'll say I spoke to a man who puts people to sleep and then brings them back after operations. Consultant anesthetist, head of department, University of Ghana Medical Center. We've been talking about alternatives to blood transfusions. I wish you a beautiful day.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
It's a real pleasure. This is #GTV Breakfast, and soon after Valerie, I'll be seated with a man who has a silver beard and lots of knowledge in his head. And we'll be looking at the headlines. Still to come also, Achami Kwame will be talking to us from cold Glasgow. And it's all about climate change. And Hermann Suede, African Prince, will be having a royal discussion with Princess Val of GBC Chrome, who is going to connect us now to Rush Hour. Val, take it away.
Yeah, Kaf, good morning from this side. It looks a bit, the weather seems a bit cloudy. It's a bit cold, but then we're going to look at what traffic looks like in an area called Aboje. So Aboje is around the Mamprobi, it's around Mamprobi, around the clinic, I think. But Alan will give us proper details and a proper jog. So good morning, Alan. Busy street behind you. What can you report?
Hi, good morning, Valerie, and welcome to Aboje. As you mentioned earlier, Aboje is around Mamplobi. We're currently at the intersection at the old The Hawk Bar. So those who are familiar with Mamplobi, Choko, Kolegono, they know The Hawk very well. Unfortunately, where we are this morning, for a period now, the traffic light here at this intersection has not functioned properly, and so it brings on a certain state of confusion among commuters, especially for those coming across from Choko towards Sempe, and then those coming from Korle Bu towards Dansoma. Because of the malfunctioning traffic lights, even though it is red, drivers will ignore it and push their way through. That is what brings on the unusual traffic you see from behind me, especially those coming from Dansuman towards Korle Bu. Indeed, you have even policemen in uniform driving and ignoring the sets of traffic lights because their excuses, it hasn't worked for a very long time. What you will see is red, yet those who are supposed to stop are still pushing their way through. It is because commuters have at the back of their minds that the light hasn't worked. The unusual traffic you see here is not because at this time of day there is so much traffic, but the problem is the traffic light has not functioned properly, and because of that, commuters will ignore whether it is on red or green and push their way through. What you can see currently is the traffic light turning red and yet a commuter pushing their way through it. It really isn't the best of things. And the sad thing of this whole traffic situation is the fact that school children cross at this intersection. It is only 75 meters away from the Mamprobi police station. 75 meters, I reiterate. And even policemen in uniform from the police station push their way through traffic, ignoring green or red, and drive any which way they like. Some on motorbikes, some in police cars, and not in a hurry to go anywhere. Anyway, so what you can see in the general direction of Dansoman from Mamprobi is a certain traffic queue going or heading towards Mamprobi. If we pan our cameras to the left, which would take us in the southwest direction, taking traffic from Mamprobi the Hawk towards Choko, you will find it is relatively free-flowing, quiet, and there isn't much of a traffic queuing up on that stretch of road heading from Aboje towards Choko. If we pan around towards Korle Bu, you will find in this general direction, you're seeing traffic coming on from Korle Bu towards Aboje, and in the distance where the trotro is parked, if you can't see from here, maybe we'll get a close shot, you see a yellow trotro. That particular spot is the Mamprobi police station. And as close as they are to the traffic light, they make no attempt whatsoever to take control of traffic to allow a certain sanity among commuters using this particular junction. The worrying bit is the number of school children who cross at this intersection, and they are at the mercy of commuters. They just have to see them and at will stop to allow them to cross, or else they are at the mercy of the road and they're taking their fate or their life into their own hands as they try to cross the road at this particular intersection. We will have to pan towards Sempe, where our cameras would now pick on traffic coming from Sempe towards the Abode intersection and making its way either towards Korle Bu or towards Dansoman or parts of Choko. This is the traffic situation out here. A special appeal to the urban roads or the highways authority or the municipal assembly who are directly in charge of the traffic lights here. Appeal is you have school children crossing the road from here every morning, and one life lost to a malfunctioning traffic light of a Ghanaian child is one life too many. Please take control and get to work. Let's have the lights functioning properly. This has been Rush Hour coming to you live from Aboje in the Greater Accra region in the Ablekuma Ablekuma South Municipal Assembly. Thank you very much.
Right, Alan, thank you for those updates. That was my colleague Alan who came to us from the Aboje area around Mamprobi with traffic updates. The show is interactive. You can join us via the GTV hashtag on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and YouTube, or on our WhatsApp number, which is 055-556-1034. Still to come, we have a conversation on the headlines where we are going to be discussing what's trending in the newspapers and online portals and what's issues that the ordinary Ghanaians need to be addressed. And then we'll also have a conversation about the mining sector and some innovations that they are doing there. The hashtag to follow is GTV Breakfast. We'll take a quick break.
Live from GBC Studio 1, this is The Breakfast Show.
Oh, today he has been extra sweet. And the way he looks at me.
Hi, hashtag GTV Breakfast. You should see the things that happened during the commercial break. Charlie, some tea bread went down very well. Tea bread with awake purified drinking water. Correct connection. Still the conversations on mining, conversations on music, and climate change with Chami Kwame in Glasgow. But for now, let's go straight to the headlines. Before that, I was reading in the news yesterday that some chap is spending 60 days in the cooler for stealing a judge's plantains. And it got me thinking, what are your views on people going to jail for stealing food? Okay, and hashtag GTV Breakfast on Facebook, 055-556-1034. Koshi Bado, who says there must be punishment for every offense, but prison for stealing food, I'm not sure. It may be defended for foodstuffs, but food, I'm not sure. And the length of sentences, too harsh. Last week, just this week, somebody got 3 years or 5 years for stealing a policeman's plantains, you know. But mind you, the level of punishment is a function of the total value of what is stolen. For example, if it takes a farmer 6 months to cultivate cassava and you steal all of that in a minute, the time, the labor input, the possible market value or food sustainability value to the farmer needs to serve as a deterrent and retribution based on the value of what is stolen to the robbed, not you, the city dweller. All that determines punishment. Very interesting comments. Martin says, but the politician works free, those stealing millions of taxpayers' monies. They have to be found guilty, and the evidence has to be produced, and then that's how it works. Keep it coming in 055-556-1034. So in today's headlines, I have a friend and somebody who you all are so desperate to see and hear. Because when we put the flyer out yesterday, there was a lot of excitement in the system. So Oscar Provençal, a man of the arts, actor, director, and a man with views on what's going on, is in the house. Oscar, good to have you.
Thank you for having me, Kafwe, but I'm not going to forgive you.
Don't forgive me, don't forgive me. You are here, we need you. It's not just politicians who should come and sit.
You know, be careful of what you ask for.
No, we know what we will get. We know what we'll get with you. So, Oscar, we're going straight into the news. I want to start with something that may affect all of us, because on the front page of today's Daily Graphic, we have a transport story. So the transport operators are threatening to go on strike. You know how in Ghana, when you want to take action, then it's either threatening to strike or going on demo. So the Coalition of Private Road Transport Commercial Operators Union has threatened to strike if the government does not reduce prices of fuel. The group has given the government a 3-day window, it sounds like a threat or an ultimatum, to act on this request or face the wrath of its members. Strike action set to commence at 3 p.m. They didn't give us a specific time. 3 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday, November 11th, 2021, Remembrance Day. Oscar, your thoughts on, first of all, the increasing fuel prices and these ways of communicating demands, threatening to take action by going on strike?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's become the norm now to go on strike, to get your demands noticed by government, even though I don't think that's the only way you can do that. But ultimately, going on strike, especially with the transport sector, affects the ordinary citizen more than anybody else. We have a situation where the world global oil prices are going up. Of course, we know that there have been taxes and put on fuel. Some have been removed. And it's a global thing. It's affecting everybody. I would wish we'd get to the point where, and we've been in this country long enough to know that when taxi drivers and tractor drivers up their prices, it's the ordinary citizen that suffers.
Yes.
If that price reduces the following day, they don't reduce their price.
Exactly.
And they'll give you another excuse, maybe that, some other factor has affected it, so there's no need. I wish we could move our nation to a place where, when situations like this arise, we don't just jump straight into it and let it affect the ordinary citizen so much. We're going to have to move away one of these days. The whole world is going electric. We've seen the rise of Uber. How has that impacted, public transport? We're looking at how we're going to improve our transportation system. There's talks of, monorails and all kinds of things. We've got to look into the future, but it's a bread and butter issue. And so I would probably say to the striking transport workers, get to the table and try as much as possible not to affect the ordinary citizen who is already reeling from the effects of COVID-19 and, of course, the impact, on our economy.
Is that our biggest challenge, looking at things always on a day-to-day basis instead of stepping back and trying to project into the future?
Absolutely. I think we just got into this habit as a nation. It's become part of our culture to, as soon as something comes up, the wolves are out. And of course, people have legitimate rights, obviously. But I think you should try and explore all avenues to resolve issues before going to the last step where you go for, strikes and things like that. We're seeing strikes happening, especially when you get towards elections. You notice that everybody wants their demands met, and so the first thing to do is go on strike. Well, it's a mechanism that seems to be working. Some governments, respond more, positively to it. Others don't. But it's a legitimate tool to use. But I sincerely hope that at the heart of all of this, the ordinary Ghanaian is, looked at. You remember when COVID came up, and Gary shot up. Yeah. Face masks were, astronomical, prices went up, and some market women were jubilating and praising, saying things like they didn't know Ghanaians had money like that to buy stuff. And they wanted COVID to continue.
For business to continue.
But you see, this phenomenon is not a new phenomenon. Our history dates back. If you look at why did Jerry Rawlings come in the first place, there are issues concerning hoarding. If you go back to Nkrumah's days, there are issues, with the chit system and all of that. And, it looks as if we as a people like profiteering of our own.
Probably because there are no checks. People can pretty much do what they want, and it doesn't seem to be a system which can rein people in.
Well, absolutely. So there's so many fronts that we need to look at this. And so, I'm hoping that once again, the ordinary citizen, because they'll pass on the cost to them, but I'm hoping that when the oil prices go down, they'll also come down on their prices.
Are you like me when you're driving through town, you're always looking at the signs at the filling stations and wondering whether it's going to go beyond 6.9 or is it going to come down?
I'll be honest with you. I've never looked. I just take myself as probably, I don't know if others do it, but I look at it, I look at my pocket and I say, well, this is my budget for fuel, whether it's 40 cedis a day or 60 cedis a day or whatever it is. That's it. If the prices go up, I've got to figure out how to keep to my budget and reduce the mileage that I do, or find more efficient ways to make up for it.
So the discipline must be there.
It's not easy, and of course there's more pressure on other people who may not be able to do those levels of efficiency, but we need to. We talk about high rising prices of food. Why aren't we going back to the days of Operation Feed Yourself? Everybody has concreted their houses and tiled their houses, and yet you and I know that in this country, if you throw your tomatoes or your onions in your backyard garden without any effort at all, without any fertilizer whatsoever, they grow. I have watermelon growing in my house. I have, pepper and stuff. It's all from chucking it out from the backyard, and it's not even a conscious mindset. And so we should move back to those days to try and supplement, the kind of hardships and, that we have. We as a people, I think, was it Kennedy So don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. We need to get back there. And I don't blame Ghanaians today, because politicians have always come and said, I will do, I will do, I will do. They don't say, we will do. They say, I will improve agriculture. I will do roads. I will do this. The we is not there. And so all Ghanaians are looking up at politicians. They fold their hands and say,
do something. We do watch you.
We've got to move away from that.
Bring the people on board.
We've got to bring the people on board. They've got to buy into the vision, if there is a clear vision. You know, bring them on board. Find a way how to move them forward. Depoliticize as many things as we can, because somebody's going to politicize this. And I'm sure, I'm not going to say I'm sure, but there are always going to be elements of politicization in every organization. So somebody will sit back and think that, some people are, you know, doing the puppeteer thing, and that's why these people are on strike. That's the mindset, you know. So as an ordinary citizen, you begin to wonder, where are we going as a nation? You know, what can we believe anymore?
It's always been like this, where threats of strikes, politicization of issues. I mean, looking back on your life, I mean, has it always been like this? Or
yes, it has. And you know, it's scaled up, but it's not a phenomenon you haven't seen anywhere in the world. I mean, America is what it is today, not necessarily because of strikes per se, but you know, it's civil society that has fought for the rights of issues. We should remember, even in America, how long was it that you know, segregation was down the road, where blacks could not sit with whites, where women could not vote? You know, they're still dealing with issues, you know, George Floyd and police brutality and all kinds of things. There's an issue with abortion rights and pro-life. You know, these dynamics will always be there within societies, you know, and so it is to be expected. At the end of the day, let's make sure that it is in the interest of the ordinary people.
At the end of the day, we want to make sure that whatever is done is in the interests of the people. We're looking at the issue of a potential strike happening tomorrow, the 11th of November. They've actually given us a specific time, 1500 hours GMT, if issues are not dealt with appropriately. We've been joined by King Kwesi Che Dakwa. He's a man for media, brands, communication, and Kwesi, you're welcome to the show, and culture.
How are you?
I am great. Good to see you.
My brother,
you see the voice.
It's been years.
You see the voice.
It's been years.
You guys worked together.
One of my favorite actors. I mean, great voice, great actor.
Worked together in the past before?
We worked together on projects where we were not on stage together.
Okay.
But either he was part of the production or I was part of the production and one or the other was on stage.
Okay. Hey, great to see you. Yeah. Awesome.
Always delighted to see you.
Lovely, lovely. We're looking at a story in today's graphic which has to do with more threats. These are transport operators who are threatening a strike action tomorrow, the 29th of November. And I was just asking Oscar, I mean, does it always have to get to this? People issuing ultimatums and strike threats, and how do we get resolution to some of these problems? I just wanted to
well, strikes are really not the failure of the people who strike. Strikes usually are seen way ahead of time. And when authorities act in a timeous manner, they can allay the problems that lead to the strikes. You know, let me use doctors, for example. I went to the Tema General Hospital recently because of something that I had to deal with. And I found that the young doctors who were working there, I mean, some of them have worked for over 6 months and have not been paid. Now, if you expect somebody who has graduated from the university, is working, is leaving home every morning, is getting transportation to get home, is having to feed themselves, clothe themselves, and then come to look after people who are sick, and you are not paying them, how exactly do you expect them to get to work? And what do they need to do for you who are ensuring you get paid every day because you're a public servant to ensure that they get theirs. In fact, you're not just a public servant, you are the most senior of public servants. And you don't just get paid, you get your perquisites as well. In fact, sometimes even your tissue paper that you wipe your bum with is paid for by the people. So if you are not working to ensure that these people are paid, what do? Do they stop coming to work? Or do they do something to grab your attention, to recognize that we too are human, and we too deserve a little bit of the largesse that we as a community are giving you? So whenever I hear of a strike, I ask myself, 2 years before the strike, what was happening? That's the first thing I ask myself, and I try to do a timeline every program of yours. And the timeline is, 2 years ago, we said nothing happened. 3 months later, we wrote letters, nothing happened. 6 months later, we wrote letters, nothing happened, but people died. 8 months later, more people spoke to a minister. He couldn't be bothered. Then they changed the minister. This one was nicer. Spoke to us nicely. Nothing. So when you go on strike, the reports it. Then the presidency gets about it. All the ministers you see, the appointed minister, if the legislature, you're working as part of the executive. Because when the president gives you an appointment, you're doing his bidding. Because a lot of the people in the legislature are angling for positions in ministerial settings, a good number of people are kowtowing and not necessarily doing what is required of them. But I think if you are a great member of parliament and you're doing your work well and you don't get appointed as a minister, you can do more for the country than as a minister who now is confused whether you should work for the legislature or work for the executive. And this is something we don't seem to talk about sufficiently. But as for strikes, when it gets very bad, it's expected. Nobody likes strikes. Indeed. I don't want strikes to happen. But where you think it's gone so egregious that somebody is actually making it impossible for you to breathe, somebody has to scream.
Somebody has to scream. What are your thoughts? Possible effects of this strike, if it happens? They've given a 3-day window, they call it. It looks more like ultimatum. Let us know, 055-556-1030. For you're watching #GTV Breakfast. My guests are Kwesi Che Dakwa and Oscar Provençal. Looking at the stories, so you were talking about promises, the way the politicians speak. I will do this, I will do that. There's a lot more. So the trunk roads are going to be dualized, according to the roads minister, in 2024. Let me read a bit of that. So Ghana's trunk roads will be dualized by 2024. The intervention is to make roads safer and significantly reduce crashes and carnage. So this is Mr. Kwesi Amwako-Atta saying that Ghana has over 13,000 kilometers of trunk roads and expecting dualization to occur around the country. And this is a quote from him, Oscar. I want all contractors working on the trunk roads to double up. That's one of his favorite words. Even if it will mean working in the night, because that is what is being done all over the world. Government is making efforts to release money to the various contractors. So another promise has dropped on us. 2024, all trunk roads will be dualized, 13,000 kilometers. Why are we talking about trunk roads being dualized so late in our stages of development?
I have absolutely no idea. There are many things that probably should have happened donkey years ago, but unfortunately we are where we are. If you look at the number of road accidents that happen in this country, and you look at the state of the roads, and everybody is really happy that, roads are improving gradually. When you drive on some of those roads from Accra to Kumasi and other places, if you're a driver and you're driving on those roads, what you get is smooth asphalt, and all you can think about is stepping on your accelerator.
Do you get to drive out of Accra often on these trunk roads?
I've done a bit of traveling myself, but you have to experience the dangers that are involved in it. Even though that the road may be good, what you have are cars that are speeding, they're doing 120, 140, virtually side by side, and the attitude of drivers. For me, that is where the problem is. People overtaking at the wrong places and all of that. Those are the things, you know, the human elements that happen. I've driven and I've fallen asleep before, I must admit.
You're not alone.
Well, sometimes.
You're not alone. It's happened to me as well.
You go through that,
yeah.
and you say to yourself, what on earth are you doing? You know, and we go through that. So it's good to hear that the roads will be dualized. You know, I mean, it's important. But there needs to be a lot of education that has to be done.
I had two politicians from the NDC and NPP sit here on this show a couple of months ago, and they said dualization is not the solution to the problems of accidents. And I'm asking, how do you get a head-on collision in a dualized road? But they managed to convince themselves, I was convinced, that dualization was not going to be the issue. So for the road listener to now say this, I wonder what they will say when they come back here on this table.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and putting timelines, everybody wants to put a timeline, 2024. And we've heard the timelines. You have to put targets. You have to reach out. You know, you have to have something to look out for. But, you know, we all know the problems with the payment to contractors. I mean, it's not gone away. It's been around with us for so long.
Okay.
You know, so I'm just hoping, and I want to be a pessimist. I don't want to be a pessimist. I want to be an optimist. So I'm looking forward for him to meet those timelines. And Ghanaians should hold the politicians and whoever gives timelines to their promises.
Is it easy to be an optimist in Ghana?
We don't have a choice these days. The world has changed so dramatically that we simply do not have a choice. And I think that it is far better to build this country than to tear it down and to do this divide and rule thing that has been going on for so many years. We're like mice on a Ferris wheel. We're just going, we're running, but we're going round and round in circles in the same place. We've got a democracy, a 4-year term democracy to an 8-year term. That's what people think. Policies are overturned every 8 years. How on earth, without having levels of, you know, sustainability and stuff like that, of projects and, you know, activities and policies, are we going to go for, you know, move forward as a nation? It's affected our education system. It's affected virtually everything in this country. And so I think that we should have a very close look at how we are fashioning out this democracy, how we are rolling out, you know, development in this country. And it just boggles my mind that the amount of wastage that goes on when one administration leaves and another comes on, and you hear people talking about, you know, this housing project has not been completed, this hospital has not been completed, and it's all about me putting claim on what? I started it, you started it, I started. I mean, it's becoming so pathetic. Now it gets to the point you're like schoolboys. You bring the football to the field, and then because you are not scoring goals, I'm taking my ball.
We all did it.
I'm going. I mean, we've got to get out of this cycle.
We've got to get out of the cycle.
We've got to put the people of Ghana first.
Put the people of Ghana first. So, Kwesi, so trunk roads, big promise, dualization, timeline, 2024, your views?
I like the fact that trunk roads are going to be dualized. It's a necessity. Those who say, oh, trunk roads will not solve the problem. I mean, it's like saying somebody is dying, they're on the floor, and you know, you want to give them water. Somebody says, water will not solve the problem. You want to give them Gary. Somebody says, Gary will not solve the problem. You want to give them jollof. Jollof will not solve the problem. What will solve the problem? You know, I like talking to my intelligent friends in positions of authority, but it is also very sad to realize that some just disagree for the purpose of disagreement, just for the purpose of disagreement, without reason. And if you look at the fact that right after independence, Kwame Nkrumah had the vision to have a motorway made. And this vision was to extend the motorway even farther west, and then farther up north. You know, whatever governments came and did not continue the vision, did us great harm. If you also think of the fact that free education was started in the north, and it was going to extend around region by region, and that's why a good number of northerners whose parents had no money were able to go to school. Whoever stopped that also did us great harm. So when anybody starts anything which is worthy, we should, as the politicians say, let us not politicize this. Now, when you hear a healthcare professional say, let us not make this healthcare, you think they're actually stupid, don't you? But politicians say, let us not politicize this.
But that's their job.
So that's their job. So let's put the divisions aside and let's ask ourselves, will it help the people in their trade, in their movements to take their children to school, in their movements to see family, in their well-being? Of course it will. So somebody comes, says, let's do the trunk roads. Ideally, these things should be coming from the National Development Planning Commission.
Exactly. And
that is where these things should come from, because this whole idea of, because I elected you, not because you're smarter than everybody in my family or in my village, not because you're wiser than everybody in my school, but because we can't all be public servants, we elect you and give you good money and good perquisites to come and serve the people. Immediately, everything you think is right is right. No, you still listen to the people. So yes, trunk roads are necessary. The minister, I like him. He's very spirited. He's very energetic. He wants to get things done. But unfortunately, no matter how intelligent you are, once in a while, everybody gets a brain fart. Because there's something that he said which I think wasn't very well thought out, that people should not demonstrate because the roads are being fixed. The essence of demonstration is not based on instruction from a minister or from the president. The essence of demonstration or a strike is to draw attention to an egregious matter so that the powers that be will act on it. Of course, there's so many bad roads in this country. But if your road is so bad that people are dying every day, how else do you get the attention of government? But through demonstration. So to hear him say that worried me, because I'm one of his fans. You know, but like I said, no matter how intelligent you are, occasionally we all have a brain fart.
What are your thoughts? Brain fart or no? I wonder what a brain fart smells like, but that's just me. 055-556-1034. Hashtag GTV Breakfast. I'm here with KD, Kwesi Dakwa, and Oscar Provençal. We're looking at the news stories, two stories, potential strike, and then dualization of Ghana's roads, deadline 2024. Here are the comments coming in right now. Greetings from Nigeria. We greet you back, Oga. I laugh at the African leaders who make promises to their citizens because I know they will not fulfill their promises. I think it's high time we, the citizens, work to develop ourselves and forget about their promises. Kingsley, it sounds nice, but they hold the purse strings and they make decisions. So, yeah, your taxes are being used to do all kinds of things. Good morning. Greetings. Can there ever be a head-on collision on a dualized road, you ask? A vehicle with a burst tire jumping from one side of the road to collide on the other side, yes. When a driver loses control of his car or his vehicle, the same can also occur. Even if I'm driving on a dual carriage road, I'm not 100% sure of safety, but that does not mean that we should not have dualized roads.
Now, you see, there's another problem that I think we have these days, that producers need to assist presenters and take out commentary that is not elevating nor enlightening. Because, you know, such commentary, you know, whoever wrote that, it is so elementary, it adds nothing to the discussion. You know, it's like saying, oh, even if you have your bath, you can smell it the day after running the sprint. So, nobody should have your bath?
We call it democracy these days, right? People speak. More comments.
Something like that.
Something like that. More comments coming in 055-556-1034. The church people are talking, says the Ghanaian Times. Catholic bishops express concern about waste, misapplication of the country's resources. So The president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, Most Reverend Philip Name, has bemoaned efforts of government at protecting the public purse and has described the effort as an illusion. So folks have charged.
Strong words.
Oscar, yeah.
Very strong words. An illusion.
Yeah, I mean, it's smoke and mirrors. It's not real.
Well, you know, I think that there's always a narrative that is put out there by one force or the other, and the perceptions out there, but nobody seems to provide the proof of that dissipation of, you know, and so forth. So we are very good at putting out narratives there. Whether the church should get involved in that, and you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I mean, he may be speaking for himself. I don't know whether he's speaking on behalf of his diocese, flock or whatever. I mean, and he's a citizen, so he's entitled to his opinions. And unfortunately, we have seen the politicization of our religious, you know,
authorities,
you know, so sadly, I mean, I listen to this as an ordinary citizen. I'm at a place where I find it very difficult to sift through all of this and to find out what is true, what is fact, what is being manipulated, what is this. But the bottom line is, you'll be right. We don't want dissipation of our funds, you know, and our resources. We want them to be managed properly, you know. So he'll have to. I don't know the context in which he's referenced. I haven't read the article.
Well, he says that
if it's just thrown out
misapplication
there,
of nations' resources by people in power has become an issue of concern to citizens in the face of less action of perpetrators. So people are dissipating resources, and it appears to him that nobody is taking the rap, nobody is being punished, nobody is being reined back. And so they decided to say that, listen, this call to protect the public purse is nothing but an illusion. That's what he's saying.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's no doubt that there are leakages or wastages within our body politic and, you know, within our, you know, national resources and so forth. We, the citizens, have a responsibility. And I think gradually it's taking root. We're putting the pressure on government. And we need to do that. Civil society, people have to, and this I think is the era where you're going to have, you know, people doing that, and in a much more dynamic way than before. You know, issues are coming to the fore much more rapidly because of technology. You're getting things that are coming, you know, by the second live. You know, if you're doing anything,
it's happening.
It's happening, and so a lot has to do with how we as citizens. After all, you know, my brother here talked about servants. Those who are put in places of authority, who are elected, are there to serve. They're not there to lord. They're there to serve. And so we need a reorientation of the mindset of both the political elite and the citizenry, and understand that at the end of the day, if this thumb that we take for granted every day is what decides the fate of any political party, then we have to understand the power of the thumb and not think that every day we just use it to pick up a phone and to call and open a door.
Kokromoti power is what he's talking about. KKD, so Oscar talked a little bit about the power of social media and technology to bring these issues to the fore. Do you foresee the Osophos getting a lot of heat on social media with foot soldiers and bloggers attacking them for attacking the government?
Well, I expect that. Every government has supporters, and every government has, you know, lapdogs that must fight on their behalf. It's normal everywhere in the world, whether it's in a kakistocracy or a democracy. However, I prefer to have every citizen speak than every citizen be silent. Now, whether or not he speaks on behalf of his church, I do not know, but he has a right to speak. Now, what I worry about, however, is the pissing in the wind. Because I'm pissing in the wind because I would prefer for people to state categorically what exactly is the crime or the misdemeanor that has been committed. Because if you just say, if Asante phone to me R-N-L, I mean, I think you must state which ones you know that cannot say R and L, because from where I stand, the one who speaks the best English in all the land may be an Ashanti. So, in the same way, you can't also say a certain tribe has eczema on every one of them, because that's not true. So to just tar everybody in government with the same brush is unfair. I would have preferred for him to state categorically 3 or 4 cases. Now this is where the media, we, you, I, you, and everybody in the media is failing the public, because we report to the public. We do the who, what, when, why, and how. Now, if we do it with clarity, there will be nothing where there is doubt. It is only when we do it with suspicion and with injection of funds or injection of an election that people are confused about what is going on. So let's say you say Ijapaye. People must be able to state the 5 key points on it. If we're not able to do that, the media has not done its job.
So clarity is required.
And also, we have media practitioners who work in every ministry. They are called directors of public affairs and communications. They need to remember they are not messengers. In the days of old, you picked the prettiest girl you liked who could serve tea and made her a PR assistant or a PR manager. These days, corporate communications is senior management work. So those people must ensure that whatever information the public need to know, they curate them properly and supply the media with so we can share. Because Osofo may have some points, but he hasn't been able to state his points. I guess because he does not have clarity. And as we always say in journalism, when in doubt, leave it out.
When in doubt, leave it out. And I'm not in doubt, so I'm not leaving Valerie out of this conversation. She's going to take us through the power of technology to a location in this region where there is some news going on. And please watch, because we'd like you to comment on it. Valerie, where are you taking us? Where are you keeping an eye for us?
Thank you, Kaf. I'm keeping an eye this morning with Alan from the Simpe cluster of schools around the Mamprobi area. And some pictures that Alan sent in earlier show that the structures are in deplorable state, and I don't think anybody want their children, their brothers and sisters, anybody to be in that position, especially we're talking about rains and looking at flooding in that particular area. And so Alan is on, he's on the screen behind me. Alan, you're live and piping hot. I see what? It looks like a roof with a gaping hole in there. I'll leave it to you. What exactly is happening there? Tell us about it, please.
Hi, good morning, Valerie, and welcome to the Ablekuma South Municipal Assembly. Welcome to Simpe in the Greater Accra region. What you see behind me is supposed to be a school building housing over 500 school children. This is a cluster of schools that have both the JHS and then also the lower primary level schools. Unfortunately, what you can see is not a disused or abandoned building. This has children studying in it. And you clearly can see the building is falling apart. The pillars on the far edges of the building have all broken down, and you can visibly see the building caving in slowly. And this still has children studying in there. Among the many problems they have is the state of the floor or the school compound. The land is waterlogged, so you have water coming out of some of the classrooms, and you still have children sitting in there studying. The fence or the wall that is actually around the school is also falling apart slowly. You have the bricks currently giving way, and you just have to be around to see the state of the school. And it's unfortunate, but then on the same compound you have a building that started somewhere years ago, which is supposed to be, as we understand it, is supposed to have these children moved into. But because the building stalled and has only just started, the research team who worked with me consulted widely. Nobody wants to speak to the issues of the school. The school seems eerily quiet. It is not because the children are not here. The moment we arrived, the head engaged us somehow and directed us to go see the circuit supervisor. The circuit supervisor pulling strings would not want this filming to go ahead because they feel we're going to tell a story that would bring them some shame. But what happens to health and safety of our children in school? If the building is falling apart, then something must be done about it. You can see the new building in the distance. It is currently completed at the lower ground level, but the top bit is still under some kind of construction. It has been there for over 4 years. It has been there for over 4 years, my research team gathered. And whatever is holding this building from completion, only heaven knows. The compound of the school, apart from being waterlogged and so have water sitting around, has also become a haven for refuse dump. And members of the community feel it is their right to also throw their rubbish out here. And so if my camera will pan away from the buildings, as you can see, you also have in the distance a pile of rubble from construction works, and how they got here, only God knows. The state of the school is unfortunately not fit for habitation, especially to have school children in there. If we're crying over children studying under trees, which happen to be in the hinterlands, why would we have a school in the greater Accra region, especially in the center of Accra, where, you know, you can't just explain it, but that is the situation here. My camera will pan again to the right, and you will see this classroom block has water coming out from the ground and school children sitting, you know, a certain distance away from the water. They walk through this into their classrooms, and you have water coming out of the classrooms as well. This, we understand, is supposed to be a temporary structure, so they will move into the new building coming up. But if it's been there for years, then the question is being asked, why? Members of the community who are not happy about this have raised so many complaints. But as it is the case with us, the proverbial vulture would want to build when the rains are over. And so every year the story becomes a different one. We will complete it. We will complete it. This has been Keep an Eye coming to you live from the Mamprobi Sempe cluster of schools in the Ablekuma South Municipality. Thank you very much for joining us. Back to you in the studio, Valerie.
Thank you, Alan, for bringing us that report. And those were live visuals we saw from the cluster of schools in Sempe, and it's not a nice picture. I'm going to hand over to Kaf and his gentlemen where they are discussing what's trending on the headlines, and they'll delve properly into these issues and possibly solutions to the many issues confronting the ordinary Ghanaian. Handing over to you, Kaf.
Thank you very much, Valerie. Kwesi, I'd like, it's unfortunate, but I'd want you to have a bite of this very unpalatable dish. What we just saw.
This shows you that our problem is not the parties in power. Our problem is systemic. And our problem is that people get into authority just to make money and not do their work. Because whoever is the inspector of schools in that area should not have a job. Whoever is the headmaster of that school should not have a job. Whoever is responsible for making finance available for the repairs to be done should not have a job. Because you see, I look at this as though it was a space for your children. Your children. I mean, children are paramount in every discussion of the family. The home, the family itself, is the Ministry of Education, is the Ministry of Housing, is the Ministry of Health for every society. It's the first place you go to. Now, you've left your family to take your child to a school, and you think it's a safe haven. And this is the school you take your child to. And you have taxes taken out of your income every month so that your children will be safeguarded. And this is what your taxes are being used for. There is something essentially, intrinsically wrong with the way we think with the way we look at people in authority as though they are lords of the rings. They are people you have put there to serve you. And it's not just the politicians, because this school must have somebody who is responsible for health and safety. And this school has an inspector for the region. What are they doing? And it will go all the way up to the Minister for Education. So what should he do? Should he immediately fire everybody because he hasn't got eyes to see all this? But do they have a monthly report? Do they have a quarterly report? I would love for some journalist, some stringer, not even a senior journalist, to go and see all the reports that have been done on this school for the past 2 years. Only that. And let's publish all that. Let's look at the timelines. And let's start doing that for everything that's a problem in this country. Because people are actually not working. They're just drawing a salary. I get up, he goes to his company, and he has to work. If not, he doesn't earn an income. Why do you think all the kids want to join the police? Because they think whether I work or not, I'll get a pay. Why do they all want to join the public services? Oh, whether I work or not, I'll get a salary. We who have to work for ourselves know if you don't work, you don't get paid. And with this school, too many people haven't worked for over 2 years.
It's amazing. Oscar, what was going through your mind when you were looking at those visuals?
I think he said everything. I mean, extremely sad, and to think that this is in Accra, so you can imagine what is happening elsewhere. But it didn't start today. It's systemic, and there's been systemic failure of the system for so long, and nobody seems to be brought to book, about these things. And we, the citizens, have to start demanding, for the right things to be done. I love the way the media today, and it's not perfect, by no means, is putting the spotlight on these social issues. But we cannot leave it at that. After that, what happens next? I'm sure we'll all sit down and fold our hands. I was involved in the rescue mission for the Malcolm disaster. I was there 13 days.
Wow.
I carried the bodies in my pickup to 37. Yeah, no sleep, looking for people. What's happened today? Where's the report?
Buildings still crumbling.
What's happening? Nothing has happened. So, something has to give. Something really has to give. And so, this is a starting point. We need citizens to be more conscious of what is going on around them. And mind you, it's easy to sit here and talk. But to lobby and to make sure things are done right, to get the right people to be able to do that, to have people who are committed, and there will be stumbling blocks put in your way every moment, because everybody is protecting their turf and shifting blame and shifting responsibility. How to get these?
Oscar, I'm worried about those parents who are so poor that they cannot pull their children out of the school. Yeah. Because if something happens and this building crumbles, you can be certain no senior person in government or no senior business person's child will
be in that building.
My point is here is the people, and the people are the parents in this instance.
They need to get together.
The parents have gone to the school, they've seen the condition of the school, and they're still sending the kids there. That consciousness, the ability to say no, because there are parent-teachers associations all over the place. For the parents to stand up and say no, find a way, and we take it for granted. Look, advocacy is not easy. To be able to move a situation from point A to point B, and the willingness to do it. And when you look at your struggles every day in life, you're already struggling with life. Now you want to go and take on authority.
But it must be done, and the parents must have a voice, because those are their children.
Exactly.
Let's just go quickly.
It must start from them.
It must start from them. Thanks for your thoughts. I'm going to go back to Valerie again. I hope we don't have any more such crazy buildings to look at. But hey, Valerie, the news is the news, and it is what it is.
Okay.
So tell us what has happened. What are we keeping an eye on again this morning?
Well, this time not a school building in almost ruins, but we are going to an area in Agbogba. My guy Jay is already on the ground, and we are going to be keeping an eye this time on the deplorable state of a particular road and then an open drain which is causing a lot of discomfort to people in the area. Jay, you're live. What can you report on what's happening? Where exactly are you?
Thank you so much, Valerie. Good morning once again, everyone. Welcome to Keep an Eye on your favorite show, #GTV Breakfast. So like you rightly said, we are on the Bosher Road here in the Ghana East Municipality in the Greater Accra region, here to highlight the plight of residents who have to use this road on a constant basis. But just before we get to the main event, I would just like to draw your attention to this big opening in the gutter right beside me. So what happens is, because it's open in such a manner, it creates some contention from drivers who are trying to enter this side of the road. It creates that situation of you wait, come, and then somebody else is also arguing, no, it's my turn to go, so you wait. Indeed, when we got here, when we arrived this morning, there was one truck which believed he was an expert driver, so he'll go over the smaller opening and try and turn towards the Bosher side. But unfortunately for him, he entered the gutter itself and his tire burst, and he had to go to the organizer just along the road so that they can fix his tire for him. So if you're not familiar with the road and you're driving here late at night perhaps, and you come towards this side, this is what may happen to you. If care is not taken, it may cause a fatality. So this is what the residents here are facing at the moment, because it creates a one-way situation and you can tell at the intersection for the vehicles trying to use this side. This is what they have to face. And now to the main event, the Abuba Bosher Road. This is it. This is what residents have been facing for a few years now. And they have been complaining for a while. Indeed, we tried to reach out to the assembly member, and we were not able to reach him. Fortunately, we have a resident here who will be able to tell us and brief us about the situation, how they have been faring using this road on a daily basis. Imagine going to work or going to school and you have to use this road, and you're already stressed enough, and then this road is causing stress for you before you even get to the office. I don't think you're going to have a good day once you arrive in the office. So let me just speak briefly to the resident who wants to speak to us this morning. Good morning and welcome.
Hello, good morning. Thank you very much.
Please, your name?
My name is Nanefwa Afun.
Okay, please, what do you do?
I'm a health researcher at Dodua Health Research Center.
And not to put you on the spot and all that, as a health research worker, using this road on a daily basis, how good is it for your health? Because I see the dust flying all around and all that. What do you have to say?
Exactly. It's like really bad for your health, because the amount of dust that we are inhaling every day, just going, if you are walking, it's even worse. And if your windows are down when you are driving in the car, you're just inhaling so much dust as you travel along the stretch of the road. And imagine those coming all the way from Ashorman and Boshe, who have to go on this stretch all the way to the end of the road. Imagine the amount of dust that they are inhaling into their system. It has long-term effects for your lungs, for your body, for your system. It's completely bad for your health. And that's just talking about, I mean, look at this. The dust is we are just inhaling so much dust. And it's not even just about the health, but look at the state of the road. The cars that we are driving in, our shocks are just being destroyed. With every trip that you make, your shocks get destroyed a little bit. And we had to change our shocks this year. Just right now, as we're standing here, someone just had an accident. His tire burst because of the road over here. He fell into the gutter. His tire has burst, and that's another cost. We are just spending so much money on our cars. Our health are just deteriorating each and every day, and we just hope that something will be done about the road.
Speaking about something that can be done, have you tried to reach out to any of the authorities, perhaps the urban roads and your local assembly, to come and help fix the situation as soon as possible? Because even standing here, there have been a number of drivers who have been shouting, fix the road, without actually saying how we can do that. So this morning we are here for you. Just tell us what you think can be done to amend the situation as quickly as possible.
Okay, so I was not here when this happened, but I was told of a story of a group of people gathered with the local assembly to talk about the road, and they said they would come and fix it, and that's the story all the time. They'll come and fix it. So I think they even wanted to see if they could mobilize funds to help. But then the answer was that it is the work of the government, is not for the citizens to do, which is understandable and fair enough. But at the end of the day, nothing was done about it, and the road still remains as it is. We've tried to reach other platforms, and what I'm hearing right now is that it's because of the rains. But long before the rains, this road has been bad. I don't think it has anything to do with the rains. I think the rains are just an excuse. So if they're saying that it's the rains, then yes, the rainy season is coming to an end soon, and we hope that because of that, they'll come and fix the road. They should make this road a priority because there's just so much going wrong on the road, and it's not fair.
Thank you so much. So Nanefwa here, a health worker, making a passionate appeal to the local assembly, Department of Urban Roads as well, to come and fix the situation as soon as possible. Applying this route is not easy for them. Aside the way it's dangerous maneuvering on it, there's also the health implications as well. And also this open gutter right here. So this has been the Keep an Eye report from the Aboba Boshe Road here in the Ghana East Municipality. My name is Jay Gabra. Back to you, Val, in the studio.
Thank you, Jay, for that report. Jay just showed us visuals from the Agbogba Boshe area, and so if you live in Ashongman or you use the particular stretch of road, you can send your comments, you can send us videos, you can send us pictures and tell us how you've been faring over the years using that particular stretch. The hashtag to follow GTV Breakfast. I'm going to hand over to Kaf and his gentlemen to discuss what's trending in the newspapers and online portals.
Thank you so much, Valerie. We are almost flat out of time, but I want to read a couple of messages and get comments from my panel. And somebody here is praising you. Says that hi Coffee, my name is Day. Some word play there. I wish you could bring these gentlemen on every day. They're objective and impartial. I wish the whole of Ghana could listen to this program. Thank you very much for appreciating our panelists. Please, I disagree with KKD that the head of school should not have a job. He should find out if the head of the school has even received the capitation grant for the past years. And
that must be his uncle.
The community has a chief who can handle this deplorable situation. They sell lands and you wonder what the money is used for. No responsible parent would allow his or her child to attend such a school that we saw a couple of minutes ago. Communities come together and solve this problem. They do have people who can help to fix the issue. Kwesi, your final comments.
I love the fact that we spoke about a number of positions, not personalities, that should not have a job. And then somebody's lapdog quickly says, the head of school, a capitation grantor. So this is what we do as a people. We make excuses, and for as long as we make excuses, we will never have results, because you can have results or excuses, but you can never have both. It is not the personality that should not have a job. It is the position of authority that should not have a job. Because if you are overseeing a dilapidated place like this, that could lead to a fatality. Why are you going to work every day? I worry for the parents, and that is why I use the word poverty. Because you see, whilst we all must have a voice, sometimes poverty makes people feel they don't have a choice. Exactly. You know, because if you know that you can afford to take your child to some other school,
you won't be there.
You won't be there. Yeah. But yes, let us all look at the problem, and let's dissociate from the problem and say, how do we fix this? Not, oh, right now it's my friends in government. In my case, in every government I have friends because of the life I live and because of my family. Some are NDC, some are MPP, some are CPP. But I cannot say that when something is wrong, I will say it is right.
So depersonalize it and look at the issue.
That's the whole thing, critically and analytically. Awesome. If not, we will always come here and do NDC, MPP. But let me tell you what, in the NDC and the MPP, there are some fine gentlemen. And in the NDC and the MPP, there must be some thieves too. If not, corruption will still not be rife in the country.
Kwesi Che Dakwa, the man for media, culture, broadcasting, the arts. Thank you so much. Oscar, the last word.
Look, I think that as a nation we must recognize that developing this country is a joint responsibility. There's a huge onus on government. There's a huge onus on the citizenry to put government on its toes. And I think we're heading in the right direction. People talk about the excess pluralism in this country and you know, the amount of talking that goes on. I prefer the people to talk, to vent out their you know, frustrations and spleens, rather to take it out on the streets, take arms, and so forth. I think it's important, but there has to be a reorientation. There has to be a consciousness of the people that, listen, we cannot continue in the manner we are going. I have 5 kids. I'm wondering what's going to happen to them when I'm not here. What are we laying down for the next generation? Everybody who's in office should be thinking about that. They should be thinking that, as Kwesi said, you know, every situation, think about it. If it was your kids, if it was your family, if it was your people, would you let this situation arise? And the apathy that has been in the system and the over-politicization of everything is simply crippling this country, and we must depart from it. We must become objective, and we must hold governments accountable when they need to be held accountable. We need to praise them when they need to be praised. And by God, the youth of this country going forward and everywhere will hold their governments accountable one day to come.
Thank you very much, Oscar Provençal, Kwesi Chedakwa. You've elevated the conversations, and I've enjoyed the interactions with you. Thank you so much. That's our headlines segment for the day. Things you may want to keep an eye on. D7 should not end a child's education, says the minister and daily analyst. Court orders return of mobile phone of Shatawale. So if you're in the SM group, you might be excited about that. And the tidal wave attack in the Volta region, African MPs appeal to government to come to the aid of the people. 1 million vote fraud claim. Mahama accepts challenge thrown by the EC for police investigation. My name is Kafui Day. Still to come, conversations on mining with Thelma, music with Valerie, and then Ochami Kwame will be reaching us via Zoom from cold Glasgow on climate change issues. Keep watching GTV Breakfast. We are available everywhere. On your phone, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Look for hashtag GTV Breakfast and follow us. We'll be right back with more on GTV Breakfast. Stay with us. Good morning.
With CAF and Oscar and KKD, we hope that you benefited from that discourse. Right now, we are setting the pace for our discussion with the Minerals Commission as we do every Wednesday morning. Today, we are looking at the laws relating to mining and the offences and sanctions as enshrined in the Mining and Mining Amendment Act 2019, Act 995. Last week, we discussed the rationale behind the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program for illegal miners and the measures government has put in place to tackle the negative effects of illegal small-scale mining in Ghana. So today we are looking at offences and sanctions, and in the studio to help us delve into that matter is Mr. Joseph Iroko, Manager, Legal Department of the Minerals Commission. Welcome, Mr. Iroko.
Thank you for having me.
Great. I hope that you've had a good time. You listened to the discussions and you also saw the places that we visited.
Yes.
I wonder if you have a few thoughts to share before we move into the substantive.
Well, I guess the gentlemen had very interesting points that they delivered when they were making their presentation. So, yeah, very interesting. But regarding the pictures, I think it's one of sadness. But unfortunately, this deja vu, this was the first time you are seeing this. So we really hope that your spotlighting will help. We ensure that people come there. We pray for that to happen. Yes.
Okay, let's move on to our main topic for today, offences and sanctions. What are some of the things that constitute offences in the Mining Act as we have it?
Okay, thank you. We have the Minerals and Mining Law of 2006, Act 703. Now, there are various offences in the law, but there's a particular section, sections 81 to 89, that is specifically focused on offences for the small-scale mining sector. So that's what we'll be going through this morning. Now, this offensive section have seen a number of amendments over time, mostly because when they are implemented and we see challenges, we tend to try and amend so we can basically be in line with the challenge that we encounter. So over the years, there have been amendments as and when the need arises. So the last one was made in 2019, which is the Minerals and Mining Act of 2019, Act 995. Physically just amended the offences section so it can be into modern times. You recall that was also the era when the fight against galamsey was quite topical. Everybody was talking about it. The country wanted action to be taken. So the offences and penalties have to be amended so they can complement government's attempt at dealing with the menace of illegal small-scale mining, which we probably call as galamsey. Yeah.
But you're still having to, what is an offence under the law? What are some of the things that when you engage in, the law would say you've committed an offence?
Okay, so have been done, and I would like us to, some of them have been stated, projected on the screen. So you see that in the law, you are not permitted a Ghanaian. Now, the small-scale mining sector is for Ghanaians. Foreigners are not expected to take part in it directly or indirectly. So when you are a Ghanaian and you help a foreigner to engage in small-scale mining, it's an offense. Now, as I mentioned, the previous law has been amended, and we need to look at the comparison to see how the amendment has taken place. If you look at the old law, the fine was 2,000 penalty units, which is a minimum fine. The maximum fine was 20,000 penalty units. And it could be jail for 5 years, minimum, 10 years maximum. But now the law has been changed. The minimum fine has been enhanced from the previous 2,000 to 30,000 penalty units. The maximum fine being 100,000 penalty units. Now we need to understand what the penalty unit means. Penalty unit means, in the Fines Act, a penalty unit is 12 cedis. So when you go to court and you are fined, they say 10,000 penalty units. They are 12 times 10,000. Now in the new law, the minimum fine is 30,000 Ghana cedis. And if you do, they do 12 times 30. That is, then you get the
30,000 penalty units.
One penalty unit is 12
cedis. Okay.
So when you are convicted and you pay 30,000 penalty units, basically you are paying 360,000 Ghana cedis. At first, the fine was 2,000 penalty units. So you can see the difference in terms of how high.
So a huge jump.
Yes, a huge
so
jump.
If a Ghanaian were to help a foreigner or to front for a foreign company to engage in small-scale mining, they are liable to, they have to pay the fine of 30,000 penalty units, which is pegged at 12 cedis per unit.
Yes.
Got it. And which other offences
well,
do
there are a
law,
number of them. For
does the law
instance,
cover?
Again, we have provision against the use of champagne. You know, the equipment that they use to mine along river bodies. The law has prohibited the use of those champagne or any other equipment to mine against river bodies in a mining operation. Now, this is a new provision in the law because we didn't have it previously, but now it's been inserted in the law, and it is that when you are arrested and you are convicted, there's a minimum fine that you pay, which is 50,000 penalty units. That is 600,000 Ghana cedis. That's the minimum fine. Then you pay, or if you impose the highest fine, is 100,000 penalty, which is 1.2 million Ghana cedis. Or you could be jailed. The judge can give you a minimum sentence of 15 years, or can impose the high sentence of 25 years if he thinks that the offense is quite serious, or he can impose both a fine and a custodial sentence. So that's one other provision that has been made in the law. So you cannot use a floating platform or any equipment to, if you like, for small-scale mining in along a water body. Now in our law, usually we don't give mining rights to people near a water body. You give a 100-meter buffer zone, even from forest reserve and all that. So you are not permitted to actually mine in or along a water body. So when you are arrested and convicted, this is a fine that the new law has imposed. You can be fined or you can go to jail. Now, what has happened is that the law has imposed the minimum amount the judge or the court can impose. So if you are fined, the judge cannot give more than 50,000 penalty units. If you are sentenced, you cannot go beyond 50 years. In the previous law, there is a minimum prison term, but not
a maximum.
We have a maximum prison term, but not a maximum. So if you are, assuming this is 2 years, and just gives you 1 month, he or she would have fulfilled.
Would still be operating within the
law.
Of the law.
But now, because of the effect of the damage that we are witnessing from small-scale mining, the law has changed where there's a minimum term that the judge can impose, and it is 50 years. Can you imagine spending a minimum of 50 years in jail? That's quite a lot. So
15 years?
Yes, 15
for
years.
Any of the offences?
No, for using
the champagne
in or along a water body.
Or mining in a forest reserve?
Well, forest reserve, that really has not been provided for specifically, but then these are or a river or a water course. Forest reserve, that has been banned now. So when you go into it, that can also be illegal mining, and there's a sanction in the law that would deal with that specifically. Yes.
So I always ask this question. All these offences are there, and yet we see people engaging in the illegality. There's an active campaign against illegal mining.
Yes.
How is this law being used to back that campaign?
Okay. Now, it's true, sometimes we have the laws and the implementation is weak. But like I say that because Christ came and preached and went away, and then people are still preaching that we should, if you like, repent from sin, and sin still happening, therefore Christianity should end. So the law must be there to serve as a deterrent to those who want to be. In fact, the intention of the law is to make the illegal small-scale mining a high-risk business. It may be there. We may not be having the kind of prosecution that we want. But once it's there, if you are going to, you know that when you are arrested, these are the serious sanctions that will be imposed on you. But beyond that, we are also looking at ways of engaging stakeholders. So in April this year, we had the training for judges from selected mining communities so they can be abreast with the law. So when cases like that come before them, they know the sentences we impose. We have one plan for the police because they also prosecute some of these cases with that.
So the Commission does not have the power to prosecute?
No, we don't. Our law does not permit us to prosecute on our own.
So the way to go is to bring the offenders to court?
To court through the Attorney General and the police. Don't forget the Constitution is the Attorney General who has the power to prosecute criminal matters, and these are criminal matters. So when this happens, our officers on the ground will report to the appropriate courts, and if they are then empowered to take action appropriately. We don't have the power to do prosecution as at now.
And when it comes to the collaboration between the Commission and other agencies, how would you describe the relationship with the police? Are you content with how they've handled the issues or the cases that you've identified, you've monitored, you've picked people up presumably, and you've sent them to the courts? Are you content with the collaboration that exists between you
I would
and your
say
stakeholders?
there is more for improvement, but then we are also intensifying our collaboration. As I mentioned, we intend to train all of them. We've done for the judges, the police prosecutors are next, and we hope that out of this, then we can enhance their capacity and ability to be able to effectively prosecute offenses under the law.
I just want to find out the main law that regulates the mining industry, is that's the 703?
Yes, the Minerals and Mining Act of 2006.
And you identified lapses in there that's necessitated.
Yes.
What challenges did that present you?
In terms of
what challenges were you confronted with in the old that necessitated the amendment, and how is it helping you to fight these offences?
For instance, in the parent law, the High Court will direct to prosecute offences. When the law was implemented, we saw that in the mining areas at the time, there were more circuit courts, there were high courts. So what should we do? Do circuit court so that we can have stability to the court, so that we can be able to effectively prosecute our case. That is one. Then, of course, as I mentioned, when the guarantee issue crop up again, the old law, the punishment was not strong. For instance, somebody can be, you are fined, 20,000 penalty units. It wasn't money for those who really were making money from the illegal small-scale activity. We need to enhance the penalty so that when you are caught, the punishment for this will be high, will be high for you. You know, so so the court issue is very important, because with that accessibility to the court, you really cannot even enforce the law. So the circuit courts were added to the list of courts that can prosecute matters, so that we can have more courts being able to try offenders. Then, of course, we also realize that most of our many people were not even aware of the law. Even after they were amended, they were not aware of the law. So that's why we started doing the collaboration that I spoke to earlier on. There were other changes. For instance, there's now a provision in the law for a foreigner. Now we realize that, as I said, foreigners are not permitted in small-scale mining, but I continue to see evidence of that on a daily basis. So now when a foreigner is arrested, in fact, in the new law, some of the stiffest punishments are reserved for foreigners or their Ghanaian collaborators who will be involved in illegal small-scale mining. So now, for instance, when you are convicted, the law is that you will be jailed, then you will be deported after you have served your jail. So a foreigner, if you are arrested now, should be taken through court, and the court convicts you, then you are sentenced and imprisoned. It's only when you are finished serving your sentence that you will be deported out of the country. That wasn't the case in the previous law, for instance. So that's one other new change that was also added. Then the old law really have provision for those who use excavators and equipment in the mining contrary to law, so without permission. So now there's provision for that in the law. We have also made it clear in the new law.
So it seems like as you moved about on the field, the more infractions that you noticed or identified, you sent those to the team to be included in the new law.
So we do provisions, we do proposals, it's taken through the process, and then department, they look at it and send to Parliament for it to be passed into law.
Okay, let me get this clear. Once a person is identified to have flouted the regulations or to have committed an offense under the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act 995, as I'm seeing here, and the 703 that you've mentioned as well, what's the procedure to get the person to be brought to justice?
Okay, just like any criminal matter. So a report is made.
By who?
Okay, so we have officers in the various districts.
That's the Minerals Commission.
Yes, these officers who, for instance, are empowered to report. Then, of course, a citizen who also realizes somebody is doing something illegal has a right to lodge a complaint at the police station. Then you are taken through the process of just like any ordinary normal reportage of a criminal matter to the court. So then the person is arrested, then they are processed for court, and if they are convicted, the punishment and the penalties are then imposed. So our officers really are the first point of call, but every citizen is also entitled to help police our mining industry by reporting any infraction of the law to the appropriate courts for action to be taken.
What's the position of the law on seized equipment?
Okay. So the law is that when you are arrested, any equipment or product from illegal mining that is seized must be taken to the police station. Then if you go to court and there's a trial and you are convicted, the court is under the obligation to seize the equipment or the product for illegal mining. When that is done, the minister by law is empowered to allocate this seized equipment or product to any government institution that requires it. When this allocation is done, then the minister is required to publish in the Gazette the list of those beneficiary agencies that have received the equipment. So first step, arrest, seizure of equipment, then trial, conviction, forfeiture, then allocation, then publication. So these are the steps outlined in the law.
Okay. I would want, as we begin to wrap up, how do you think the Act, as has been amended, has impacted the operations of small-scale miners and even large-scale when it comes to getting people to abide by the tenets that the law provides? Has it helped you to bring the rate of illegalities down, and what more could we do to keep the numbers up?
I'll say, and don't forget, this is not a process. It's not an event, it's a process. It is something that is ongoing. So as and when they are arrested, the police are empowered to use the law. Now, so side by side with this is what we have spoken about earlier on this studio, the Livelihood Project, and the various other attempts by government to legalize the system, to make the system, if you like, easy. Because one other reason why illegal sports will happen is that people say it's bureaucratic in terms of the processes. So we are basically we've gone online, for instance, so you can apply online. These are steps that we think will complement the law. So even as we are enforcing the law, also make sure that on our side we are making the process easier for applicants to be able to go through easily. We think that when that happens, the recourse to illegal small-scale mining will be reduced, if not completely eliminated. But we think the law is deterrent enough, and continuous engagement with prosecutors, with the judiciary, and even the citizens alike, for instance, what I'm doing today, we think goes a long way in ensuring that this law is able to be able to achieve the intended objective. So on the whole, I think that it's a new law. This was passed in 2019. So we will say the jury is still out, but I think that the implementation so far, in my view, has been good. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Iroko. Mr. Joseph Iroko is the manager, legal department of the Minerals Commission. He's been talking to us about the laws relating to the offences and sanctions as captured in the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act 2019, Act 995. So it is illegal for a Ghanaian to help a foreign company to engage in small-scale mining. It is illegal to use certain kinds of equipment in small-scale mining, and all those attract some fines as well as terms of imprisonment, or both in some cases, depending on the severity. So that's what Mr. Iroko has been here to talk to us about. Thank you so much for adding your voice to this conversation. We'll be going over very shortly to Glasgow, Scotland, where the COP26 summit on climate change is happening, and one of the key ambassadors for climate change presented a climate clock to President Akufo-Addo in the Glasgow meeting. We'll be linking up to Ochame Kwame very shortly. After the break, stay with us.
They are beyond the rhetorics, whether it is poetry or whether they mean it. We are yet to find out post COP26. You know that the conversation of climate change bothers a lot on water security. Are we as young people going to sit down for our leaders to say the things they have said and not charge them to do them? Let us get our leaders. We are affected most adversely by this climate conversation. So let us get involved. Visit www.wateraid.org and add your voice to the conversation. Ochame Kwame, reporting for COP26. Thank you.
Kwame Nsiapao, aka Ochame Kwame, aka OK, aka Rap Doctor, aka Love Locked Down. He is also a climate change ambassador and a very, very strong favorite of the breakfast show. Good morning, Kwame.
Behavioral change. The conversations are many. So when you enter the conference right now, there are about 100 different groups of people who are having conversations and negotiations about different things. But the key one right now is finance, because 5 years ago, or is it 6 years ago, the developed countries, in quotes and quotes, accepted that they had contributed the most to the problem. Therefore, they were going to give 100 billion. Also not willing to share with us freely their technology. But I don't blame them, because we have the responsibility to curate and develop our technology ourselves. So the conversations are many. And also, we are discussing a lot about moral education, because all these conversations, they border on morality. if a person feels inclined to support himself and support others, that person will not destroy the resources and pretend as though they don't know what they have done. So the conversations are many. It's a lot.
Kwame, while advocating for leaders to assume financial responsibility for the effects of climate change and what needs to be done to mitigate the impact, you're also asking for behavioral changes, and it has to do with daily lifestyle choices that people make on an individual level. Tell us about some of those things.
Well, some of them, as Galamsey, as you have rightly, you're likely discussing this morning. About 2 years ago on the DGM project, I went to Jomoro with Solidaridad and the World Bank, and we sat down with young men who are involved in Galamsey. And after I made my speech, that Galamsey is destroying the waters and destroying the farmland, some of the young men came up together that they will beat me. If they didn't love my music, they would have beaten me that day in Jomoro. Why? Because they say that parents have been farmers all their lives and they don't own one motor. But they started Galamsey 1 year ago and they bought their Toyota Corolla. So the conversation is not only a social one, it is also about survival. So some of the little things that we can do to improve our situation. The first one is good farming practices, because 60% of us are farmer folks. Apart from these good farming practices, when we come into the cities, sometimes you charge your phone the whole night, forgetting that energy is expensive, and sometimes we need to just pay attention to charging our phones for 1 hour, unplugging before we go to sleep, urinating in the rivers, conversation about energy to our children, things like, what are some of the little things like eating meat, because you know that the livestock farming alone contributes 18% to carbon emissions that are creating the greenhouse effect. So we can lower our consumption of meat a little bit, so that we can lower our carbon emissions. Things like pumping your car tire when you must pump it to the right pressure so that the car will not use too much energy for us to burn. Changing your car's oil at the right time so that it will not emit. So the conversations are many, but I think that it should begin with all of us coming together. So for example, as you can see, I seem to be the only artist in this space who is advocating, and I have 2 million followers on Instagram. I want you to imagine if I had Sarkodie, Stone Boy, Jackie Appiah, Dumas, if I had 10 celebrities with me who are coming together against negative effects of climate change, can you imagine what we could achieve? And the conversation is not just with advocacy as well. It is also with technology. So if we had young people in IT using AI to solve the problem of climate change, young graduates in engineering from Ashesi, Tech, Lagos, coming together, because as you can see, it is a little difficult for them to find resources. Therefore, if they come together, they will be able to create things, produce plant-based protein to lower emissions on livestock, produce even better quality of energy. So I think it's a conversation of coming together. The media has also come together and decide that post-COVID-26, we are going to make sure that everything on climate change trends. Because if we come here and we do all we are doing and we put content out there and you don't pick the content and make it trend, nobody will hear it. But
actually, there's a hashtag that you've started, and it's called Act in Time. There's another one that is hashtag Together for Our Planet. And I've been on your Twitter. I'm actually there now. I'm seeing you holding this huge clock that you presented to the world leaders, one of whom is our own president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. What do you intend? What message are you sending with this clock? What figures are we seeing on the screen there?
So the clock says 7 years, and the UN scientists say that we don't have 10 years, we don't have 20 years. Like the leaders are saying, by 2030 we will do this. We have only 7 years to turn the energy of death, which is coal and fossil fuel, to turn that into the energy of life, which is the energy of water and sun. Let me simplistically put it. So the 12.5924% that we see there, that is the amount of good energy that the world is producing right now through solar. It's only 12%. And it says that we have 7 years, because if we do not produce more of this good energy and we keep mining our oil and mining our fossil fuel, what is going to happen is that in the next 7 years, the temperature will hit to 1.5%, and the production of cocoa will be reduced by 54%, and it will affect everything, especially Ghana and all of Africa. So we need to act in time. We don't have 10 years, we don't have 20 years, we don't have 2050, we don't have poetry, we don't have rhetorics. We have only 7 years to turn our deadline into a lifeline. That's what the clock is saying.
There's been a lot of activism from you and people who are also passionate about climate change, but there are still people who are skeptic, who think all these things you're talking about does not exist, or it's not because of the things that the issues that you've raised about energy from dead sources like fossil fuel and coal. They think all this is just made up. How do we get people like that to get on board with what you're propagating to make the necessary changes to the planet?
I think that the answer to this question is very simple. Pay attention, open your eyes. What happened in Upper Volta not too long ago? Was it on the Sunday? Now more than 3,000 people have been misplaced from their homes. Just this Sunday, you know, if you go into the farm communities, you realize that, even let us look at cocoa. The cocoa belt used to start in the mid-northern region. Now it has reduced that to the Samare belt. And since cocoa is our cash crop, very soon Ghana is going to be poor if we do not pay attention. But I know if you have ever been to mining places and you have entered cocoa farms, you realize that in the middle of the cocoa farms, people will cut down the trees and then dig out the soil looking for minerals. So the conversation is clear. I don't know if you paid attention. This year, the rains didn't come in May, June, July. It rather started coming in August, and it is raining in Ghana now. Now that the farmers are supposed to plant, because you know our farmers are subsistence farmers, and they use the rain patterns to decide when to plant the crops. So if the rains do not come when it has been coming, food security will become problematic. Have you seen the waters? Please, if you just drive past, just drive to Takrade and look at the rivers. Apart from the Volta River, that because we have not seen gold and diamond in it, people have not destroyed it. Almost all the rivers that we drive past, they look like chocolate milk. And people cannot drink from it anymore. So just pay attention. Go to YouTube, read something. And I also would like to urge the Education Ministry and GES to just take to make climate smart teachers so that they can teach their children about the realities of the negative effects and the positive effects of climate change. So please, if you think that we are just talking, just pay attention. Look at the rivers in your country. And it will be a shame that this world, as we found it, we are destroying it and leaving it for our children that we profess to love in this state that they grew up and become hungry. And don't forget that as some people are waiting for, in quote unquote, the European to bring the money before development, they will not bring it because they don't really care. It is our responsibility to at least make sure that we make the land rich, and after we are dead and gone, our children will not suffer as we are suffering.
Kwame, thank you so much for your insights into this conversation. Your passion is infectious. I'm guilty of charging my phone overnight, so from today I've stopped. I've made a pledge not to charge my phone throughout the night until morning. So the little changes that we can make individually to bring the bigger change into effect is what we hope for. We wish you well, and put a jacket on. That kente will not protect you from that 5 degrees of weather. And we wish you well.
Put on so many things. When I step down, so many things. Thank you.
Very welcome, Kwame. Kwame Ntiapao, a.k.a. Ochame Kwame, has been speaking to us from Glasgow, Scotland, where the UN Climate Change Summit is currently ongoing. It's been codenamed COP26. He's calling for attitudinal change, most of all, as Africa and other parts of the world wait for the financial commitments from the West to put the matters of mitigation efforts into practice. $100 billion pledged by developed countries for activities, for programs and issues to mitigate climate change has not happened. It's up to Africa, it's up to individuals to assume responsibility in ways of moral education, good farming practices, responsible use of energy, less use of death energy, Kwame calls it, that is coal and fossil fuels, more use and focus on good energy from sand, wind and probably water. He's telling us we have 7 years to produce more good energy and less bad energy. Otherwise, we will see temperatures rising by about 1.5%. Cocoa figures going to reduce by more than 50%. So those are numbers that should really set our temperatures high to motivate us to make the changes that matter. Climate change conversations will be ongoing and the media should spearhead those reports. Still ahead, Valerie will be on the yellow couch kindness of Airtel Tigo to speak to the African Prince. We are grateful to our sponsors, Adonko Next Level Energy Drink, Shield Acrylic Paint and Awake Purified Mineral Water, Lufat Anti-Malaria Medicine, Suspension for Kids and Tablets for Adults, KTO Eleganza. Thank you, KT, for my lovely outfit located at Usu. Follow them on Instagram. They have trendy, classy outfits for all occasions and you can pick something up from yourself, for yourself from their shop. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us.
You the fellow. Hey,
On, I'm sitting in for Val for the Yellow Couch moment, memorable moment on the Yellow Couch, proudly brought to you by Airtel Tigo, and we'll take a message from them. We are here to have a conversation with a versatile young songwriter, music performer, and a pianist. And he's received a lot of recognition for his music compositions. For someone being so young, to be able to do the kind of things he does, and the kind of traction that he's received, the accolades that people accord him. They call him the African Prince. But in his private life, he's known as Jason Bote Doku, a.k.a. the African Prince. Jason, tete. No fe no efai. I like the fact that you speak Ga.
Yeah.
And you've lived outside the country for a long time.
No, I've lived in Ghana my whole life.
Your whole life.
Yeah.
And how have you been able to break through the cultures, to be able to build this brand for yourself?
Well, I'll just say naturally with my sound, I have a bit of a blend of the two, from both of an international sound, at the same time a local feel to my music, because I tend to infuse Ga, which is my local dialect, into all my music. So I'm able to achieve a blend between the two. So I think that has also been able to help a lot, because that way my songs are able to have more reach and relate to a wider variety of people.
How did this all start?
Well, honestly, at the age of 5, I started off by playing classical piano.
Classical piano at 5?
I was enrolled into classical piano by my parents. And then years down the line, I guess my passion for music has just grown and developed over time.
Were your parents musicians or into music themselves?
No, but they are passionate about. My mom is like a music fanatic, so I guess growing up I'd always been surrounded by the sound of different types of music from different genres, and that definitely had an influence on me. And then my classical piano classes obviously set the foundation for my musical interest. And my dad as well, I think back in the days he used to play in a band and stuff. So music is in my family. Like my brothers, my siblings play as well. We all play an instrument or two. So I think growing up,
so it was a musical house. You'd wake up on a typical, maybe on a weekend when you're not in school. Yourself, your siblings and your parents, what would that be like?
Well, unless we all end up jamming together, just making tunes or just grooving to tunes. You might just wake up to the sound of my dad practicing his piano the morning before he goes to work. He's an architect. So yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, and everybody in the house is able to play a role, a significant role in my music career because of that passion we all have for music.
Listening to you, I am actually surprised that you are not pursuing a degree in music, because songwriter, you know, performer, pianist, I would think that you naturally gravitate towards music, but you're studying business management. Why?
Well, so I've actually studied theory, classical piano music and music theory throughout high school, like amongst other subjects and stuff like that.
In Ghana?
Here in Ghana,
Okay.
at an international school.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to some international school.
Shout out to him.
Yeah.
I went to my secondary school.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so I've always, what's it called?
You've always pursued music.
Yeah, I've always
and
pursued.
You did that in high school.
I studied classical piano, and so I guess for uni, I want to like broaden the scope and venture into a subject area that would give me like better knowledge as to how to market myself as a musician.
So making music into a business is the goal.
Is the goal.
Okay.
Definitely.
Now I'm asking how you're doing this, because I presume that to take a course that is so different from what I think comes naturally to you, which is music, would present you with certain unique challenges. How are you able to combine the two?
Well, honestly, in as much as music is my main passion, I've always been business minded. Right from high school, I would always come up with these little business ideas and stuff. Oh, well, it goes beyond the money even. It's just the passion and that drive to like have impact or create change. So choosing business was actually a subject area that was easy for me. I've only begun to see the benefit from it, because the more I learn in class, the more I'm able to apply that business knowledge in my everyday life and when pursuing music, which I have a passion for.
And there's no conflict when it comes to your studies and your songwriting and your performances and your playing?
It's a system that I've just been able to like abide by since, which is that while I'm in school, I focus on school, and the spare time I have away from school or from my books, I dedicate that to music.
It seems like two full-time jobs. So you're into full-time education and you're into full-time music.
Yeah.
And you are young, so you're into full-time young man's life as well. How is that like?
There's a lot of things to combine. Social life, there's a lot involved, but just by the grace of God, I've been able to maintain a fine balance between all of them. So
how do you unwind? How do you relax? If you wanted to do something just for you, what would that be?
It'll probably just be hanging out with friends, with music still on, just.
And do they ask you to play?
Oh no, because they understand, they respect the fact that when
you're chilling,
when you start chilling.
So you shouldn't get too complicated.
Yeah.
Now I need to read this because I'll ask you to explain. You are a grade 5 ABRMS piano player. ABRSM piano player, and an international baccalaureate diploma holder in music.
Yeah.
Can I ask how old you are? Can you tell us?
I'm now 18 years old.
You're 18, and you've been doing this for how many years?
4 years, since I was 14.
Since you were 14?
Yeah.
And you've grade 5 something. What do you mean?
So grade 5 is a classical piano ranking. There was ABRSM annual exam hosted by the Association Royal Music School in England. So it's an exam I would take every year, and it helps kind of grade your level at piano.
So when you're grade 5, it means you're...
No, grade 8 is the top. That one is when you've reached grandmaster.
Oh, I was thinking it was one of those you are heading to 1, but this one you're heading to 8.
8, yeah.
So you're at 5 now.
I'm at 5 now.
3 steps away.
3 steps away.
How long do you think it will take you to get? I mean, I want you to get there tomorrow. So how long do you think it will take you?
Honestly, probably another 2 years or so.
And what's the path you've set for yourself towards achieving that goal?
Okay, so actually after grade 5, I took a bit of a break because with each year, since it's an annual exam, I guess I progressed further and further in my high school journey as well. So I recently wrote my final exams for IB, my diploma, and so I took a bit of a break from even both music, and that involves the classical piano as well. And so since then, I haven't returned, but I'm definitely bound to return.
You should.
Yeah.
Rapper, Afrobeat, Afropop singer, all these other genres. Which one is the true you, or which one is actually Jason?
Yeah. So honestly, Hermann Suede, which is the stage name, Hermann Suede specializes in Afrobeat, I'll say. Afrobeat. But then that I don't think that stops my versatility, because I'm just someone who's drawn to so many different genres of music that I end up just finding myself vibing regardless of the genre of the beat I'm working on.
If you were playing a music, if you had a vibe right now and it was not your music, which song will you be vibing to?
Probably something just relaxing, like Whiskey, or there's also a lot of foreign influence. Like I listen to hip hop, so like even pop and R&B from some American artists, and yeah, I have a very vast like taste in music, and so I just found myself occupied by so many different sounds at a time.
And it's influenced your own style of music as well. We have one of his songs ready on standby to play just for you so we can all enjoy. So this is Hermann Suede and one of his awesome tracks. Let's listen.
Yeah.
You're 18 and you're singing about love like how do your parents feel about this?
This is something that I've gone over and over since, because love is a topic that I've incorporated into most of my songs. But honestly,
so on whose experiences are you drawing these
honestly,
emotions?
It's just my young experiences, and so I'm inspired by a variety of things when I write. So it could be things I'm going in my everyday life or at school. There's more.
So you are trying lala for people who are in your everyday life?
Oh no, I also tend to put myself in people's shoes to I take each song as an opportunity to allow fans to feel a different type of way.
So what were you doing in that song then?
So that song is one track off of the Bittersweet EP I recently released, and with each song on the tape, I try to look at love or the dynamics of relationship from a different point of view. And so Meant For You is like to re-emphasize like my care or affection for the person.
So you love women?
I love everyone. I love my friends.
You're singing about love and you're trying lala for this lady in the video, and you say you are drawing on your own experiences. How do they come about to you? You said you're regular, like you're in school and you play the piano.
Yeah.
Which other experiences do you fall on?
Oh, for writing in general?
To inspire yourself to put a song together, because
honestly,
sometimes the inspiration comes from different sources.
Yeah. Honestly, I would say it comes from movies, and it comes from everyday activity, like problems within my friend groups and stuff. So, but a lot of the times I also put myself in the shoes of experiences I may not necessarily have experienced, but You know, it's just interesting to be able to play around words because music gives you the opportunity to express yourself and even express the feelings of others in so many ways.
Why do you call an album bittersweet?
Bittersweet. So, as I said, each song was dedicated to looking at love from a different perspective. And so when the entire body of works come together, you come to realize that it's not a fairy tale like, oh, people's regular perception of what love is. So I take you through the various aspects of it, and you get to realize that it's a bittersweet experience when you listen.
What have you received by way of feedback when it comes to how fans have received your music and your style?
Yeah, I mean, the fans are constantly growing, and I'm grateful for their support, honestly. Yeah, they like the tape a lot, and their favorite track off the tape is a song called Nakwali. Stay tuned for the music video for that one next part.
I'm sure we'll stand Nakwali by, and we'll be playing that very, very soon.
Yeah,
You've received an SRC Yoruba Excellence Award, and you're a role model to that youth award. What's your advice? I first of all want to find out what's your relationship with older brothers and sisters in the industry like. Do you have any mentors, anyone holding your hand, walking you through the path so they make sure you do?
Honestly, I feel like even the term upcoming is relative because it's about you, your vision, and then at the stage at which you've reached. For me, I can actually say that I'm still upcoming because I feel like by God's grace there's a lot further to go. So yeah, to say upcoming, I'll probably say yeah, just someone who hasn't fully reached their potential yet.
Fully reach your potential. I wonder what your advice would be for persons who are young who also want to get into the creative space. You know the challenges. What should they expect?
Honestly, I'll say you definitely need persistence, patience, and determination, as well as like hard work ethic, because it's such a normal thing. Like it's your typical thing to see a young person with passion or genuine desire for something, but a lot of the times you find that they may do nothing with it. So it's important that you actually take the extra step to start finding ways to like achieve your passion or pursue the things you have a passion for. So for me personally, starting music, it honestly started from even I found an old karaoke mic at home. I was able to download the software on my laptop, and I just began to play around with it's little stuff like that that really like build up and help you develop your craft. So
I hear you're also into a number of projects.
Yeah.
Tell us about them.
So in 2018, I hosted After Prep, and that was my first headline show. And After Prep was a show which I hosted in collaboration with a project I was hosting in school to raise funds for Fafaha Foster Home. Yeah. So with the funds raised from my show, which by God's grace had great attendance of about 800 plus people, I was able to raise funds to help renovate an abandoned foster home and provide them with new provisions and resources that were needed. So yeah.
And is there a plan to do something else, perhaps in the future?
Definitely. I'm looking at the options of continue to host projects like this that will help raise funds and create impact in society.
Christmas is around the corner. What should we expect? Are you vaccinated? Because the deputy minister for the industry is telling us if you're not vaccinated, you can't attend any show.
Yeah, definitely. I'm vaccinated.
Okay. What should we expect for Christmas, perhaps?
Yeah. You should expect the video for Nakwali.
Which will be dropping very shortly?
Which will be dropping very shortly. And most likely, my show, which I hosted After Prep, 23rd December. Stay tuned. That's if, of course, the corona protocols don't, but we're looking forward to it.
Okay, so you're now going to give us a video on Nakwali, and I'm sure we'll get it as soon as you have it. But as your farewell comment, what would you aspire to be in the future if you look at where you are now? So you're 18, you're a musician, you're studying business in uni. 10 years from now, would you still be a musician? And where do you think life is taking you?
Well, considering the fact that music is something I have a genuine passion for, I mean, you can't run away from passion and neither can you run away from like a God-given talent. I feel like the two...
Where do you think your talent is taking you? So if you had to name some top collaborations with Ghanaian or international stars that you aspire to partner, which name would you drop?
Definitely my favorite being Burna Boy, Wizkid, and on the Ghanaian market, the likes of Sarkodie, which I've actually had the opportunity to feature on his on his Black Love album with the song Wamba, track number 14. But yeah, definitely Sarkodie, Can Promise, Black Sheriff, Y'all Talk, like... Honestly, the list goes on and on.
Right, and we wish you the very best, Hermann, as you explore this world that you find yourself in. The African Prince, make us proud, from Ghana to the world. And of course, we will support you. When the video is ready, just come over, give it to us, and let's put our widow's smite on there. All the best to you in your endeavors. We've been having this sit down on the yellow couch thanks to Airtel Tigo with the man named as Hermann Suede, aka the African Prince. His name is Jason Bote Doku, songwriter, music performer, and pianist with international accomplishments. So proud of him representing TM people to the world. And so we'll be back to wrap up. Remember to follow him on social media. What are your handles?
Hermann Suede on all social media.
Hermann Suede on all social media handles. Follow him, appreciate his talent, and love his music. Enjoy this one from Hermann Suede. When we return, we wrap. How we wrap another exciting edition of Breakfast on GTV. Val is back on the yellow couch. Where were you?
Assisting with production.
Okay.
That's up and about.
Live TV is like that. So CAF is not here to say bye-bye right now, but both of us will say bye in his stead, and we'll come your way again tomorrow. Terrific Thursday. What Thursday? It's been a wonderful Wednesday.
So maybe tasty.
Tantalizing Thursday. So we'll see you again right here, same time, 6 a.m. sharp on GTV Breakfast. Enjoy the rest of your midweek. Bye.